Welcome back to the Gnostic Informant, and you are about to attain true
gnosis.
True. Dyer gnosis.
And of course,
Put the
welcome to
glasses on.
Misvision. Yeah, we're live on both channels right now. So
listen, bro, I studied under these people. I took a class in college. I took philosophy classes in college.
First of all,
I know everything there is to know. I know everything there is to know about philosophy of all time. Every single philosopher.
But look, if you don't understand because if you can't, epistemologically ground logic in the metaphysical, and
how do you even know that? That's a category error. It's a category error. Do you even know what a fallacy is, bro? Dude, how do you even know that? How do you even know that the scientists are correct? How do you even know that the scientific method is even correct? How do you even know where is the scientific method? Do you even know where the scientific method is?
Yeah, you have to find if you don't know where it is, then you don't.
Can you ground the scientific method in my butthole? Can you do that? How many thousands of years did evolution take for a pee-pee to grow? How many? Makes no sense. See, they don't. They can never answer these questions. They just never want to debate me, even though I'd block them. They never want to debate me, even though I'll block every single one of them. Every single time.
Oh, that's funny.
I win.
You won, dude. No, you won. You won. Okay?
All right, listen, I'm going to keep the glasses on just for good measure. Look, honestly, I'm friends. I have a lot of friends in common with Jay. I get along with Jim Bob very well. We debated a few times. It was fun. Same with Andrew Wilson. I met Andrew Wilson in person. I met what's his name? Your friend as well. The Christian. Why am I forgetting his name?
Michael Jones?
No. Not Vlad or something like that. What the hell is his name, dude? He's your buddy.
Dan? Which one?
Who?
Which
What'd
one? Than he works with Inspiring Philosophy.
No, so. the one that Stephen met up with in California. Really? You were on his channel before.
I was on his channel?
Yeah. It's like Vlad or something. I don't know. I can't remember his name, dude.
Huh.
Anyways, I met him and I'm such a bad friend. I don't even remember these people's names now. Dude, what the hell is his name? Someone in the chat know who I'm talking about? I met him in person. He was really cool. The point I'm making is I'm friends with a lot of these people who are Christians and Orthodoxy. And the one who had the back and forth with Dan McClellan, and he had him on, and he was like, Dan McClellan apologized.
Oh,
Ruslan.
Yeah,
Why did I call him Vlad? Ruslan. Ruslan. Yeah, okay, my fault. I was being very vague. I couldn't get to it. But Ruslan, met him in person with Andrew Wilson. I met Andrew Wilson's wife, Emily Wilson. Very nice. These are cool people. Having a beer with them. It was a great time. I have nothing personal against Jay. This is all just textual criticism. This is all just information warfare. None of this is personal. Okay.
This is
even if I call him an idiot or a doofus or I expect the same to come to me, and I don't take it personal either. So I just want to lay that out the.
Well, he already does that. You know,
he does that anyway.
Yeah.
So whatever. The ad homs is all extra. It makes it more fun. It makes it more blood sports. I'm all for that. I can handle it. That's why I enjoy it. That's why I do this. I can handle it. I actually enjoy it. And I think they do too. But it's funny because when I went, there we go. This is the guy who I wanted to talk to. Holy crap! So
it's a miracle.
We were just going to respond to your video, and I just thought it was so well done. There's a lot of parts that I thought could have been explained better because I'm just an idiot, so I don't really know half the stuff. I know you're rebutting him, but I don't know exactly what you're saying. So maybe we can go some of that stuff.
Oh wait, what happened?
But I was gonna go. We're gonna skip. We're gonna skip the back and forth I had with Jay's wife.
Let's not even react right now. Let's hang out with Dave and get his thoughts for a while.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Is this a good volume? Can you hear me through the mic?
Yeah, it's a little low. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Turn it up right there. Check.
We hear you though. We do hear you.
No, it sounds good to me. Yeah, it sounds good.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, I threw that thing together in like a day because I had just finished a Peter McCullough one, which took me like 2 weeks, and I was frustrated that it didn't get views. So I was like, screw this. I'm going to throw together 3 or 4 like one day, like really easy ones. So like go for the easy targets, and there's no easier target than this chode Jay Dyer.
Well, right off the bat, when he tried to explain evolution, or he tried to sort of diss evolution as like how many million, what do you say? How many millions of years it takes for a pee-pee to grow? You need a full scrotum and a full set of balls for it to work. And and the funny part is that you didn't even have to explain why that was dumb. You just, even me, even the person who has no idea how evolutionary biology works, I was like, oh my God, this is this is stuff you learn in high school.
Stuff, yeah.
I think that might have been middle school level biology that right there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and we can talk about it, but yeah.
If we can play that part, I think it'd be kind of good for people to see if they haven't saw it yet.
I mean, we could. If you want,
you have control of this, right, Derek?
Yeah, I have this. So you want me to play the?
Yeah, why don't we just play it from the beginning and we'll just pause it and ask him stuff, right? That'd be a good way to do it, right?
What do you think, Dave? Does that sound like a plan, brother?
Whatever you guys want to do. I was doing family stuff and we just got home, and I'm not sure. I may have to kind of jump in and out or whatever. But man, whatever you guys want to do.
Cool. Here we go.
Where I made fun of some random creationism videos, including one that I referred to as a cringy after-school special. One of the other ones was made by some jerk named Dyer. I had never heard of him, but in typical thin-skinned troll fashion, he threw a tantrum in response, thereby opening himself up for quite a lot more humiliation. Let's take a look. If you missed this reaction video, give it a watch at some point, since it was quite a rollicking good time. But either way, let's start with a very brief highlights reel for context. It's important to be aware of some of the dumb shit he said in the video I reacted to, and the basic science I explained in response, because he's about to pretend none of that happened. Here are some snippets so you can get a sense of it.
You cannot empirically verify or demonstrate the
I'll pause it for him, because, might as well wait. I can't hear you, by the way, Neal.
Here, he's back right now, so perfect.
Okay, perfect. You almost missed the pee-pee, bro. You're muted.
Oh, hey, yeah, my kid was banging on the door.
You're good. Here, I'll go right here, a little bit back. Boom.
Empirically verify or demonstrate the billions of years that a chance universe would need to give rise to life or whatever, which I don't even think I think that's an absurd question to begin with. But
you can't empirically demonstrate what? What the fuck are you talking about? You can't empirically demonstrate the age of the Earth? Because yes, you fucking can, which is how we know the age of the Earth.
Also,
real quick, before we continue, so you're reacting to stuff, so there's like an inception here of reaction videos that are happening. He seemed to be saying, as far as life was concerned, of even arising, and that your reaction was simply on the Earth.
Sure. I mean, it wasn't even being clear about what he was saying. Like, he could have been talking about abiogenesis. He could be talking about the age of the Earth, because he's a young Earth creationist.
Yeah.
It's just basically
very common for them to do. They always kind of combine those two together and notice that.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna use the mic. This thing just died. Yeah, let me turn the volume up.
It's Satan trying to stop us, man.
No, because they have zero understanding of science, they can't compartmentalize it. So they just think it's like when Kent Hovind wants to debate evolution, but he starts talking about Big Bang cosmology. You're like, what are you talking about, man? Are we talking about biology? What do you want to talk about here?
I actually spoke to a PhD philosopher, Alex Malpass, back. I actually had an exchange with Jay. I didn't expect him to join a live stream with me and Neal years ago. And I did a funny little response video saying this guy cooked me. But he does they have a script, obviously, that they run with. And it's it's all down into epistemological tag arguments that they make. And Alex Malpass, who's an actual PhD, he's an actual expert who actually knows philosophy, told me what they do is they jump around between meta ethics and metaphysics and various things to gish gallop or find a way to get out of the very thing that they're trying to address at that point. And you could technically reverse it on them. And I'm not really good at doing all of that, to be honest with you. I haven't done that in exchange with all these presuppositionalist types, but he's definitely a young Earth creationist, like you said. And me and Neal, when we were talking before the stream, we're not even sure if you know how much of anti-science he really is. We wanted to ask you, how much do you really know about this guy?
No, very little. I had never heard of him when I did that reaction video a couple months ago. People send me stuff that they want me to react to, and I kind of compile them. And then so one day I was like, I'm going to react to some creationist videos. I pulled up 3 or 4 links. I was like, okay, let's try this one. I had never heard of him prior to that, and he struck me as one of the dumbest people alive. And then he threw a tantrum in response, and I wasn't going to reply, but then I was so mad about my Peter McCullough video that I was like, screw it. I'm doing like 3 or 4 like super easy ones to just to kind of like get the algorithm going again for me. And so I was like, all right, let's respond to this jerk. I'm responding to that idiot Dan Richards who made another video about me from the pseudo-archaeology thing. I just need some like I made this video that I just put out today in one day. Like it was so easy. So I just turn out some content, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thumbnail was hilarious. I had to click. I mean, who can't turn down that kind of thumbnail, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll keep going. Here we go.
Those mutations are just replications of the same gene, which don't do anything.
Right.
It doesn't add anything, or it sheds something. So it's like
no fucking idea what you're talking about with genetics confirmed. Most mutations are not gene duplication. Most mutations are point mutations. Point mutations can have a very significant effect. Often they don't. Most of the time they don't. Gene duplication is comparatively a much rarer occurrence. But if you have gene duplication, then you have the opportunity for neo-functionalization. That second copy can accumulate many, many, many point mutations to code for a completely different protein that could have a completely different function.
And it started spinning, and then it kind of turned into a dust ball, and it kept
Pause it real
spinning,
quick.
and then it collected.
Pause it real quick.
Yeah.
Now, something I noticed that's not just happening in circles of like Orthodox Christian YouTubers, but all over in all different fields, like Egyptian pyramids, biblical studies, whether it's I don't know, just like ancient history of Tartaria or something, any sort of topic where you get these people online who have no idea, never studied really. I mean, Jay claims to have taken classes. I don't know how far in school. Maybe he got a bachelor's. I don't know. Talks about that. It's very vague.
Some like Bible school, like a not a real school, and
right.
Yeah.
And but these people have very little understanding of subjects, and they speak on it as if they are the authority, as if they have been studying it for years. All the experts are wrong, but I just went over here with my big brain and read a couple Wikipedia pages, and now I know exactly everything about evolutionary biology and why it's wrong. It just happens to line up in my worldview.
It's
just crazy. It's a crazy like epidemic that we're seeing online right now.
Yep.
And this is very popular.
It's happening because it's lucrative. I mean, Jay sucks at it, so I don't think he can get too much going. But I mean, over in the pseudo-archaeology,
I disagree. I disagree. He gets a lot going. He's got a huge following. He's on Alex Jones. He's on the Alex Jones show. He's got his own slot there.
I mean, he go on there.
and this is the thing. This is the thing though. Most people are not, and I'm not being like trying to sound like everyone's dumb except for me. Most people are not like highly educated in these subjects that are really complex. Most people have high school level, maybe a little bit, maybe they went to a community college and then they got a job at like some whatever. And they're not like thinking about this stuff. So they have the advantage that most people online aren't really going to know a lot of this. And if you're really confident, and if you can appear to know, and you have good editing style, you can really convince a lot of people. And
sure,
it just happens to be that people actually want this stuff to be true.
Yeah, if you can feed them a narrative that makes them feel smart and special and above the establishment, right? It also feeds off of an anti-establishment bias, right? And so that's something that is already inherent in people. They want to listen to the lone wolf rebel over the establishment, whatever that would mean in that particular context. But then you have mountains of propaganda being thrown at them from oligarchs who are feeding into this polarization of the public against legitimate sources of information, right? This wave of post-truth propaganda is trying to nurture the attitude among the public that any legitimate source of information is corrupt and should be ignored. So right. anyone at any university, right? Anyone at any federal institution, right? Anything like that, except now RFK's, NIH, you can trust him because that's fine. Now that it's finally propaganda out of there too.
You can trust Hoover Institute as well. You can trust certain
PragerU, any of these. But it's just an intent. The intent is to polarize the public against legitimate sources of information. Right. Don't listen to anyone who actually knows what they're talking about, who actually has expertise. Listen to this jerk instead.
I was going to ask you about that, Dave, because we all know the famous debunks. Okay. You have literally become, I imagine, I would just say I've found another debunker that has done things as vitriolic, as painful as you have on so many of these people's egos. Okay. As far as the intelligent design community is concerned, because we do have a rise in conservatism and in terms of, Christian nationalism, all this kind of stuff. Have you noticed a huge spike in terms of interest in your debunks because of the recent last 4 years, if you will?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I think part of it is the growing frustration among the educated populace watching sanity slip away, watching pseudoscience become more and more mainstream to the point where it has now infected federal institutions. We've never seen this before, right? We've never seen CDC posting medical misinformation, right? We've never seen that before. That is brand new. So I think that a large sector of the public, and in particular the scientific community, obviously, and the medical community, are very alarmed by this. And so, yeah, I mean, there's not enough people pushing back. So I think I do get a lot of favor and a lot of traffic. The people at the very least need a catharsis, even if it's just watching me dunk on some idiot like Jay. It's just sort of like a point for reason, a point for reality, it's a celebration of that. So this video is pure entertainment.
Let's go through some more. Let's see some more.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's talking about a dust ball just magically somehow,
Did more dust, and then it hardened and crystallized into a giant perfect ball that is.
It didn't crystallize. It's called fucking gravity. You dumb piece of shit. All matter attracts all other matter by gravity.
What good is 1/8 of a PP? It's no good. Like, you got to have the PP and the testicles, right? So what good is 1/8 of a PP? Because there would be millions of years where the process of the PP comes to be PP, right?
Oh, wait, when was this?
What good is 1/8 of a vagina?
Right,
pause it. Pause it.
Jim Bob's going, that's right. No, that's right.
Yeah, he's like, when was this? Like, I didn't know this ever happened, but like, is this something other? I've never heard this before. I've heard, what do you think a banana gave birth to a tree or something? Like, I've heard that one before. Where
I've heard the eyeball.
People don't understand the time limit thing. But he understands the time limit thing. But for him, it's growing limbs and growing testicles.
They're two totally different things. The thing that he's trying to do is similar to the Ray Comfort crocoduck, where they are taking like a reptile form and a bird form and saying, well, if birds evolved from reptiles, then that means at some point there would have to be something that is half bird, half reptile, split at the waist. Right. Nature has a new form in mind, and then like a 3D printer, just like starts going from one end to the other.
But that's the irony about that is that would fall under create. They're still thinking in creationist world, thought, because they're thinking like it just gets created that way somehow, like it just magically happens.
Yeah, each organism is viable, and the morphological change is slow and gradual, and natural selection favors forms that have a higher probability of surviving and reproducing. But yeah, this 1/8 of a PP. I mean, like, what does he mean? Like from the shaft forward, or like from the side this way? Like, what is he thinking? Like, there's so much wrong with this. Like, number one, all he would have to do is look around at extant forms of life that exists today, to see a dramatic variety in methods of not only sexual reproduction, with all kinds of different apparatus, but also asexual reproduction and combinations of the two. Right, there are organisms that can reproduce both sexually and asexually. Right. So it's like, yeah.
And the reason why I'm even asking is I'm trying to legitimately, in good faith, understand what if he just completely has no idea, which is probably the case, or if he was actually trying to make some point here, and maybe half joking about it. But I'm trying to figure it out.
I think you're right, Neal. I saw a video I shared yesterday. I don't know if you came across this smaller channel. it might be really cool if you did share the material. I'm not kidding, Dave, because you just did a hit piece. There's a really small channel by a guy called The Skeptical Agnostic, and he just did a thorough breakdown evaluating stuff you will never want to waste your time with, that Jay does these live streams. I'm sure you're not going to sit there and watch all this. He did the work. He watched it. And he saw how wrong and how he just doesn't understand genetics, fossil record. Like, there's just so much material he has no clue about when it comes to being. That's why I titled my end of this Scientifically Illiterate, because he just doesn't know. And he's talking using creation.
Well, here's what's important about this, because in their minds, they are debunking something that's really stupid. So and the audience probably hears this and says, he's right. That does sound really stupid. Wow, that is really easily debunked, because the thing they're debunking is not the models that is in peer-reviewed literature. They're debunking something that doesn't even make, it's not even the idea that evolution says it took millions of years for a pee-pee to grow, and then testicles grew, and then we were able to mate at that point, is completely. I don't even know if anyone's even said that before. Dyer before. I think he made this up on the spot.
It's basically a toddler level version of like a Michael Behe irreducible complexity thing.
Yes.
I think that's what he's trying to do. Like, he's taking something that's already stupid and disproven, even at the highest level. Discovery Institute is like the highest tier of creationist arguments. They're the most difficult to expose and debunk, because they're educated people with doctorates that lie about primary scientific literature that you need to have the skills to be able to read in order to debunk what they're saying. He's taking that argument and going like, duh, but the penis, the blah, 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 blah. Like, he's doing the worst version of that, which is already bad, even at its highest level. So,
I think the commenter down here said something about he's being sarcastic. I think there is that, but there's a combination of poisoning the well. So he's like giving a false caricature, like Neal said, but then there really is, I imagine, if you pressed him, which this material inside and out, he wouldn't be able to.
Exactly. That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking if he's actually coming, because if you can say, oh, he's being sarcastic all you want. Fine. What is he being sarcastic? What's the point that he's delivering here? What is he attacking? Which part of evolutionary biology is actually under question here with this point? It doesn't make any sense. That's why I'm actually trying to be in good faith here. Yeah.
He's pontificating on how under evolution do new appendages or organs or new anything about morphology change or get a new thing. That's what he thinks he's talking about.
And I guess you have to be really stupid to think that's funny, because it just doesn't hit. It's just this is just doesn't make sense.
It's not funny. Like, it's like a conservative comedian. It's just like, you're both a bigot and not funny at the same time. So there's nothing here to do. But that's why these guys like this, a bunch of people have been commenting in my video today, like telling me more about this guy, because I don't know much about him. And he's the presuppositionalist and all this and all that. He's terrible at philosophy also, but he tries to use that to avoid discussing science truly. And it's like, this guy, that's why he wouldn't ever do any kind of legitimate debate, because if he was in a debate with somebody like me, number one, I would ensure that the topic of the debate was something science-based, right? I would press him to be very specific about what area of science he wants to discuss. And then in the debate, every time he would try to retreat into philosophy, I would slap him in the face digitally and drag him back to the topic and humiliate him with questions. It's exactly like what I did to Lord Jamar. I don't know if you guys saw that. That
was bad.
Or I was just asking him to define, like what is a day? What is that? Like, and he just can't. He can't even define basic terms. Just exposing the like aggressive stupidity of people like that. It's what I would do to Jay too. Right? It's just like, do you like you ask? It's what I did to Sabor as well. Sabor Ahmad. It's like they're trying. they're spewing all kinds of philosophical jargon to distract from the fact that if I was to say, like, a bunch of the stuff in this reaction video was them talking about information and where does the information in DNA come from? It's like, well, how is it a code? Tell me how gene expression works at a 9th grade level. At a 9th grade level, explain to me transcription and translation. They wouldn't be able to do it. So how can they then comment on what the information is? You don't even know what DNA does. So how are you trying to make these kind of grand claims about where it can come from or what it does or anything like that? You can't describe to me what it does. you know,
there's a spot where when he talks about the 150
yeah,
150 my brain
amino acids to form
amino acids
to form a polypeptide, or to form a small protein or something.
In that part, I almost want to skip ahead to that part, because in that part he makes a comment and you jump in, and I feel like it might be missed to highlight something that I think is significant there. So I'm going to share it real quick here, because this is important, I think, because this gets into the whole theistic, their whole philosophy. Look, I love
Jay Dyer.
Yeah.
The thing is, it sounds like you more want to talk about my initial reaction, because in this video, he only goes through 3 minutes.
That's what I was just saying. I was telling Derek, in the video, you have an hour and a half long video.
It's an hour and a half long reaction video where I'm just sitting there drinking whiskey, making fun of creationists, and 30 minutes of it is devoted to his dumb video.
30 minutes. Okay.
And his response to that 30 minutes goes through 3 minutes.
3 minutes and quits. And then all he did was make a noise. We'll get to that part. Yeah.
He did a stereotypical Jew voice and like that. Like, that's really basically what I did. And then he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to do this anymore." So yeah, because you can't, because I'm saying science words you don't understand and you can't reply to any of it. So he just kind of rage quit without, pretending.
And called you smug. Yeah, I saw that.
It is somewhere in this. It's somewhere in this, and we'd have to review the whole thing.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, because while you're looking for it, Dare, you can keep looking for it. I'll give a story.
It is in this. I do remember that it's in this too. It's somewhere.
The part where he makes the noises.
That's later.
No, the 150. I mean, if you do that thing that you just did, scrolling through the timeline.
No, do a transcript word search, Derek. Do a transcript word search. You can find it in 2 seconds.
Well, but if you just do what you were doing, where you just put the cursor on and just kind of slowly scroll to the right, I might be able to recognize.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'll explain.
It might be back here, because they were talking.
This is me explaining, because he reacts to me making fun of. Keep going.
It's probably right here somewhere, because you're reacting to them. I thought, okay.
You can start
there's something that Jay says. You want me to just hit play and let it ride? And
keep going. I'll recognize it. Philosophy of science stuff. Kuhn. He's whining about Kuhn. A little more.
I'm going slow just to make sure you know how.
Thank you for becoming a new member. Brilliant Events 5242. Thank you for becoming a new member. Appreciate it.
It's around there somewhere.
So let's play this here.
Okay.
I thought this was hilarious too. You're like, you said to the second power or something.
Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah.
Say something about science, idiot.
All of their arguments are actually confidence games.
As if that's not exactly what
this. No. Okay. This made me go, wow. Yeah. This is exactly what they do, dude. It's the biggest projection in the world. The way they operate. It's like sophistry, but it's just about looking confident and kind of getting the opponent to look like they're contradicting something. So you actually believe this? No, that's not what I said. But then you believe this, but that's not what I said. And it's just a big dance of and the whole point, the whole time is just trying to look confident in what they're saying, and it's nonsense.
Dave, epistemically ground logic. Epistemically ground logic, and if you can't epistemically ground logic in an absolute, you have no reason to use logic to begin with. And if you do, you've given it to me because it's in God. Notice they can't justify the first premise to begin with, but they start with God as the explanation for why there's utility and things make sense in the world to us as creatures on this planet. And that's what they do.
Yeah, let's deconstruct the logic of what you just said, and then, by the way, demonstrate for me that your God exists. But that's what they want. As long as you're wrapped up in that, you'll never talk about science, which they don't want to talk about science because they don't understand science. So that's why he would absolutely rage quit a debate with me, is because I would not entertain that for a single second.
He did that with me when I joined one of his Twitter space or X Spaces, and I was talking to him for about 10 minutes. It felt like 5 minutes, and he muted me and kicked me out, and I'm blocked on all his platforms ever since.
Right. Yeah,
all because all I did was when I said, "Hey, where do you think the idea of the Trinity comes from?" It's not found in the Old Testament. I heard you saying that the Trinity is in the Old Testament, and he pulled up a verse, and I explained to him what the verse actually meant. He said, "No, you're wrong, mute," and then he kicked me out. And then explained to his audience what he meant while I couldn't respond, and that was it. I never talked to him ever again. That was the only encounter I ever had.
Yeah, it's like a flat earther. What's his name? Nathan Oakley tries to get people to go to his channel, and then whenever they're dunking on him, he just mutes them and
he just kicks you off. Yeah, yep. That's what he did.
It's so infantile. He's such a baby.
All right, let's play this.
The one spots where I think Jim Bob says something. You're playing this Inception, and I want to show you the part.
And I say that because argumentation is about philosophy. It's not about peer-reviewed studies and who has more evidences. And I can pile up 55 peer-reviewed studies for my point. That's what normies think is intelligence. That's what dum-dums, that's what the ladies on whatever podcast like Not So Erudite think is smart.
Only stupid women provide evidence for things.
Yeah. And by the way, peer-reviewed articles have arguments in them. So if you're citing it, I would just try to level with him here and say, you're right. Just throwing peer review articles at somebody doesn't win you an argument. You need to understand first of all, the peer review article has to be saying what you're saying too. You can't just throw out an article. I've seen people do this where they throw an article out and it says the opposite of what they're saying. So, okay, you can be right about this. Throwing articles doesn't mean you're right. However, if the article is making arguments from data that you're trying to argue, then of course you should use it because it's peer reviewed and it's trustworthy.
I think the reason, though, I have a different interpretation of why Jay's doing this, and that is him and his ilk will never enter the peer review arena, because if they did, even in the philosophy realm, like he claims to be notice he keeps talking about philosophy. Alex Malpass, all these guys who are actual PhDs are like, dude, this is a joke. This is not taken serious. PhDs in the field are not taking this guy serious. His arguments are not taken serious in philosophy, the way that he's presenting this stuff. And he jumps around again, Gish Gallops. But I have a feeling that part of him saying that is the fact that they're not getting past peer review. Nobody's taking it serious. So why wouldn't you poop on the whole institution of a process in which self-critical thought and analyzing the data to try and get closer to the truth would be what you would do? You just shit on the whole institution. Yeah. You go back to an ancient book or ancient establishment.
Ignore any source of legitimate knowledge and only listen to me. Whatever I say is truth.
Unless someone does actually write peer review that agrees with them, then they'll cite it. Then they love it. Now all of a sudden, look, it's peer reviewed.
Yep.
You get from ChatGPT, right?
Only stupid women who won't have sex with me think that referencing well-established science belongs in an argument about science. Doing actual scientific research and publishing it in journals is super gay. Obviously, all that matters is mental masturbation and throwing out random philosophical...
I use that term all the time, by the way.
Jargon. This loser is like if an inferiority complex became a person.
Because what you're referring to as information is just a sequence of bases. That's it. You have monomers that polymerize, and that's it. That's all there is to it.
So it just is what it is. That's not even a response. This is so low tier. I actually thought this guy might bring a little bit of response, a little bit of attempting to deal with what the actual argument is.
You don't have an argument. I do, and you're refusing to engage with it. The information in nucleic acids is the sequence of nucleotides. It is what it is because things indeed are what they are. Stop whining and respond to what I'm saying, numbnuts.
Because if information isn't meaningful, it's just what it is, then Dr. Dave's arguments aren't meaningful. And his words on his live stream are not meaningful and have no purpose or telos.
Oh, snap. If DNA is just stupid, godless molecules, then Dr. Dave is a dumb butthead with no meaning or purpose. Sick argument, bro. You're allergic to good faith discussion. I didn't use the word meaningless. You keep using that word. Transcription and translation. This is what genes do. Talk about this. Talk about base pairing. Talk about codons. You can't do it because you don't know what this is. Cry about it.
You don't know what molecular biology is.
Yeah.
I wanted to add a little nuance on this because even if Jay was legitimately, believed in that there is a telos to all the information and the way life is, seems to be just always winning, like life is always making through and passing through all these hard habitats and stuff. And he thinks and I tend to even think this way, that there might be something behind the cosmos and reality. Well, what does that have to do with, how does that get us to the Bible, Christianity, 6,000-year-old earth? And also classical philosophers from antiquity tended to, most of them that I read, like Plato and Aristotle, thought that there was a lot. This is the reason the cosmos was logical, and there was natural things happening that the gods basically set up. They didn't think like magic. Everything was magic. So you can believe in a telos, like Aristotle. That's actually an Aristotelian word, by the way, telos, and also be a naturalist at the same time. It doesn't necessarily mean if evolution's true, then there can't be any meaning or anything like that. I guess the point I'm making is, why does it have to be, if evolution is true, or either Christianity or evolution? Like it's like nothing in between. You know what I mean?
Right. But also much more importantly, where is the telos in gene expression? What is happening on the molecular level that is not explained immaculately well by what we understand of the physical world? What's missing? Right. He can tell you because he doesn't know how gene expression works. Right. He's like, oh, information. It's this magic special sauce from God or whatever. No, it's the sequence of nucleotides. Right. RNA polymerase reads it, makes an mRNA transcript. That's read by the ribosome, and you get a protein. That's it. We understand it very well.
Dave, it feels like a trick. Like I was reading Bonson, I believe it was, who I think argued in Better Faith argument about the whole tag argument. That Bonson's like a philosopher type Christian guy, and it's like, if you did all this logical reasoning, empirical data, all of it's right there, which I prefer. I'm like you. I want to look at the evidence in front of me and not speculate or conjecture using like thinking to try and imagine what might be somehow behind all of this. But even if you make your strongest case, they just go, well, gotcha. Prove the reasoning behind it. If not, you falsified your own thing. And it's a circular thing that ends up happening no matter what you show, evidence-wise. For example, they're not biblicist, or he's not. He's an Orthodox guy, so he's not like an inerrantist on the Bible. But if you show problems with the Bible, you show contradictions, you show flawed human fingerprints all over the damn thing. I don't see God's finger on it, right? This is my personal opinion. Me and Neal have a different ontology. I'm more of an atheist agnostic. On knowledge claims, I'm agnostic, but I'm an atheist in terms of God. And at the end of the day, like, I'm looking at this book and I'm going, where's God in this again? Like, it looks so human. I don't see divine in it. If anything, I see human. Even if I can make all the arguments to show why this looks human, and you can't show me God, they would just be like, oh, all that reason that you used in logic to show contradictions and all that kind of stuff, they pull the rug out and go, well, you can't even reason where you justify. Yeah, you can't justify any of it. So you have no argument. So we should stop science unless you believe in God.
Doesn't exist. Arguments are impossible. Believe whatever you want that makes you feel special and warm inside. No, that's it. But it's like, look, like science works. Technology exists.
But then at the same time, logic and reason comes from God, and it's all grounded in our hearts. And that's why we're able to know good and evil, because we have this like inerrant reason embedded in us by God. So it's like, wait a minute. Then if that's the case, then I should be able to logic and reason without having to explain it, because your God made me that way.
Yeah. They want to take away the foundation of logic and argumentation in favor of empiricism, and they refuse to justify their own overwhelming assumption that God exists.
Exactly.
I agree.
Sorry. Like,
it's kind of interesting because even if we granted and say, hey, we don't know, maybe there is a deity, right? And we are using and wielding the very tools they claim we can't justify. Those tools in the world, I think, falsify the very religion they claim to be founding this in. And so, hey, we can all shake hands and say, maybe there's something bigger, bros. Cool. Yeah. All right. It's not this, though. I don't see it in this. So go to some Platonic thing or something.
Yeah, you know? I cannot disprove the concept of a deity, but the fundamentalist Christian God is very easy to disprove. It is a very limited and objectively not real deity. That doesn't necessarily extend to every concept of every potential deity, but that one, it ain't it. So,
yeah. All right, here we go.
You don't know what anything is. Well, you don't know.
Holy shit, man, you really put me in my place there. Hang on, that was such a profound rebuttal to basic principles of molecular biology that I don't think I was able to absorb it all the first time. Let's get that again.
You don't know what anything is. Oh, well, you don't know.
Okay, I got it this time. All of molecular biology is wrong because you made a whiny cartoon voice.
Okay, serious question. Do you have fun making these? You have to laugh at your own shit, man.
I do. This is so genuinely funny, and also the easier it is for me to make, the more fun I have, because the more laborious it gets, the more I kind of get bogged down and burnt out.
Yeah.
When I'm churning it out at lightning speed, because it's so easy, because it's Terrence Howard or a flat earther or some jerk like this. It's so fast and it's fun because there's just like, it's so easy to make fun of these people. Like, it's just so easy.
He would have been better off not even addressing the video.
Oh yeah. No,
the fact that he turned this was a mistake. This looked bad.
Yeah. And if he replies again, which he probably will, because he's an egotistical maniac, it's just, he's just going to become another punching bag in my rotation that I will just humiliate from time to time.
Would you debate him in a formal setting, like, or would you debate him in terms of?
Yeah, I would debate him if it was hosted by a neutral third party with a very clear science-based topic and a moderator who would mute him every time he tried to get away from the topic. If that, then yeah, totally. That'd be good content.
Absolutely.
I would get a lot of views on that.
Nice. Okay.
I've been teaching science incorrectly this entire time. Also, I could be wrong, but that started sounding pretty stereotypically Jewish at the end. Do you think this guy hates Jews? Does anyone want to tell him that I'm not Jewish or that racism is bad?
Therefore, it is a code from a human mind, you know. Or
oh, Professor Dave, does the code come from the computer? Oh, is the code in the computer meaningful? Oh, or is it meaningless?
Okay, it seems like this is the angle he's going to stick with for the rest of the video. And Hyper Pryor seems to be impressed by it since he thought it was worth $10 of his hard-earned money. Can you believe this douchebag?
Pause it. Is that really the end of the video? Like, seriously, he doesn't say anything else after that?
I mean, it goes a little longer. Yeah, no, he just does this Jew voice. Like,
that's it. He just does the voice for the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Wow,
that's horrible, dude. That's
no. He said literally nothing the entire video. It's pretty incredible.
It's also interesting how you point out he only reviews like 2-3 minutes, like up to 3 minutes or something.
Yeah. Well, no, because he can't show people the video because his position was that I didn't like make any arguments or explain any science or whatever. But that's why I played a couple of clips up top to be like, no, I'm explaining, like, and I shortened them a lot. Like that time, like when he's saying that he doesn't understand planetary formation, I talk for about 2 minutes about, you know, protoplanetary disks and angular momentum and how it flattens out, and then bodies collect at random orbital distances due to gravity, not electrostatic anything. And then they're spheres because you're, you know, everything is trying to minimize gravitational potential energy, and the sphere is the shape that does that, right? Everything is as close to the center as possible. As I explain a bunch of science, and he just doesn't engage with any of it and just makes it a Jew voice.
So this is the video that you were responding to, right? J. Dyer exposes Professor Dave's scientism.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I don't think we saw the part where I just want to play in the beginning where he goes over why he's right. Did we play that while you were here? I don't think he saw that. This is really interesting what he says here.
So here's the strength of my argument, and the reason that I always beat these types of people, these scientism goblins. And I think everybody in this audience already knows why. It's because, first of all, I went to college with these guys. I studied under these dudes.
First of all, the biggest reason why I win is I studied under these guys. That's your first reason. I don't think we're starting off too strong here. Your first reason is you studied under these guys. I don't know. How does that even, what would that even make? How would that even make you more right in any way?
Yeah.
I don't understand what his point is there.
The master.
Like, I studied under them, and I'm just so much smarter that I was able to debunk everything they said immediately. Yeah. Normally, when you study under something, you learn what they're teaching, and that's the point. You learn from them. You don't go on to debunk them and become smarter than everybody.
Well,
you know what
he's
I mean?
trying to pretend he's educated, right? He's just like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's total gaslighting here.
But anyone who uses the word scientism non-ironically can be instantly dismissed. That's just code for any science that hurts my feelings is religion, so that I can even the playing field, and it will be even with my dumb religion. That's it.
Listen, you guys are all wrong, because let me tell you, first of all, I've spent several years. Do you see my glasses while I'm telling you? Oh, it's like a tick. It's a tick.
I don't know if he thinks that makes him look smart or what. I don't know, dude.
I don't know. It's something he does a lot, though. It's funny.
So my philosophy of science professor was one of these guys. He was like a hardcore, atheist scientism guy. He was actually a pretty good philosophy professor, though, to be fair.
So what went wrong? He's a good professor, and he's a scientist, atheist guy, and he was good. And then what? Why is he wrong then? Well, is he going to explain any of this? Is he going to tell us why he's wrong? Let's see what he says.
And that class was great because even though he was a rabid scientism proponent, he actually encouraged everybody to understand philosophy of science. And people like, I've never watched Professor Day, but I'm assuming that he would not care about philosophy of science, because usually scientism, physics type people, Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? They don't care about philosophy, and they actually discourage people from looking into it or studying it, precisely because philosophy asks the questions that are difficult for them.
This is what's so interesting about that. His teacher, who was a great teacher but was just an atheist scientism guy, encouraged him to go out and learn philosophy of science. Well, how do you know that you understand philosophy of science very well if you came to a different conclusion than he came to? I never thought. I'm just reading between the lines here. Something's not adding up here.
Also, he encouraged us to learn the topic of the course I was taking. But no, the easiest way to summarize these jerks, I did one on this other guy called Formscapes that is basically a smarter version of this. And they all do the same thing. There's this guy named Thomas Kuhn who wrote a book called The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, which I read it in college too. Like most science students take a philosophy of science introductory philosophy of science course. So I did when I was undergrad, and I read Popper and Kuhn and Lakatos and all these other guys. And it's interesting. I mean, it's thought provoking, but it's like, the thing is that early philosophy of science, when we're talking about, is empiricism valid and this kind of stuff, like that's a discussion for the 1600s and the 1700s. It's too late. Empirical science is valid. We produce technology. It works.
That's usually what I say.
It's fine to talk about epistemology and these kinds of things, and it's interesting. But these jerks come at it from the angle of mental masturbation to try and discredit science. They're not doing anything. So Kuhn has this book, Structure of Scientific Revolutions, where he talks about paradigm shift, where it's like, there's this thing, and the quintessential example is the quantum revolution. And so, but the problem is they take that and say, see, all of science was wrong and changed to a different thing. Therefore, any science I don't like is wrong and will soon change to a different thing. Like intelligent design is the new paradigm over evolutionary biology or whatever it is that hurts their feelings, right? But there's so much wrong with that. Number one, you have zero ability to make the claim that any of this science that you don't like is wrong because you don't even understand in the first place. But it's also just at face value wrong, because in the quantum revolution, Newtonian mechanics, classical electrodynamics, these models were not proven false. We still use Newton's laws every day. We use Newton's laws to send probes through the solar system. It was not proven wrong. It was we found the limitations.
Well,
right? Newton's laws work for objects that are bigger than an atom and going nowhere near the speed of light. Then we found out if you're going near the speed of light, you need relativity. If you're smaller than an atom, you need quantum mechanics. We need these other models to complement that. But it wasn't, like they just don't know anything. They know nothing about science. So that's it.
But this is, to their credit, at least they stay consistent in their worldview when they deny the moon landing or get into, like Jim Bob, I think he's a flat earther. I think he's like somewhat of a flat earther, but I know he denies the moon landing. Like they will just they say like NASA is just tricking us. They don't really know much. Our technology is horrible. And it's like, I mean, we have the internet. We have like things that are just beyond people's imagination 100 years ago that we can look at. You can measure the world now and see how different it is after the revolution of science. And like, what happens when these people's family members get cancer? Do they go to a witch doctor? Do they go to a priest to get them blessed? No, they're all going to the best PhDs out there who are linked to some university somewhere, Roswell Institute, and they're going to have a bunch of students there writing their PhD theses as they're working and doing work. That's how this works. It's all on the ground studies.
Some get ivermectin in the mail and go to Reiki and hope for the best and die.
That's sad.
Yes,
that's
it's very sad. And the people
because they listen to people like this. They listen to people like Jay Dyer and Alex Jones, because he's on the Alex Jones show. It's all the same sort of media in and outs that are linked together. And you're right, people do die over this. The church that I was going to, Professor Dave, this is a true story. When I was still a Christian, I recently was a Christian up until like 2019, I think it was when I finally left Christianity officially. So it's only been like 7 years, but COVID hit this is right at the end of when I was leaving the church, and there was an old guy there, an old, really nice guy. And our pastor was one of these like MAGA Zionists. Don't listen to them. If you're going to wear a mask, don't come to church. He would say stuff like that. And this dude ended up getting COVID and dying.
Of course.
And the story gets worse. Mm-hmm. He had a will. You know what his will was? He left $100,000 to the church. The church got $100,000 after they literally caused this dude to die. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Like that's a story I've told a few times, but it's crazy every time I tell it, because it's nuts.
Yeah, people are getting it from all angles. I mean, that's why I target the medical misinformation very aggressively. Especially in the past year or so, I've really started focusing on that. It's just when I do these deep dives on figures like Peter McCullough and Pierre Corey and Steve Kirsch and stuff, and they don't perform well, I'm just like, God damn it! Like, so many people told me that my Peter McCullough video is being throttled because like they are subscribed, notifications on, everything, and that video didn't show up for them. And
I didn't even see that video. I didn't know about it.
Nobody did.
That's how YouTube is. It's weird like that. It's just been weird sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, no complaints. I mean, my channel is doing very well, and I'm very happy with the amount of traffic I get. But it's just like, it's hard to deny that there's some kind of throttling going on for certain videos, for certain keywords or something. Or I don't know what.
Absolutely.
So,
I can relate. I mean, I spent, I think, a month and a half scripting this massive baptism, like the origins of baptism, and like going into the mystery religions and finding like ancient Greek how the New Testament talks about baptizing on behalf of the dead. It has this weird mention. Most Christians don't even know what that even means, or even care to know what that means. Well, from the Greeks, they were already doing that. Jews weren't doing it. And I was pretty much doing this really sophisticated deep dive in some of my other documentaries along with Neal, which you're on both channels. We're streaming to both right now, Gnostic Informant and Myth Vision. We've had millions of views on some of these documentaries, and it wasn't uncommon for us to get a couple 100,000, views on these videos, and flop 25, 30K, and I'm like, dude, I spent so much time and energy getting all the research and everything for this video that just,
which is how it is sometimes.
Yeah. That's why I've been doing more reaction videos, because those are really low maintenance. And then now I'm starting to do kind of these, like this Jay Dyer one was like 25, 30 minutes, as opposed to the some of them are 2 hours when because like when I do RFK, there's a lot to cover there. Like, it's a 2-hour video. I mean, there's so much fraudulence to sift through, and I want it to be like, this is the only video you need to see. Like, watch this 2-hour video, you'll know everything about this jerk, and then this other guy, and then this other guy, and I barely scratched the surface. I have at least a dozen more planned of like people who are currently in power under Bobby, and like kind of on the periphery and stuff. They all deserve a video because they're all frauds, every single one of them. It's crazy.
Damn. Yeah, look, there's so much. I want to ask you before you go, because I know you came to give us some of your time. You gave us more time than you even planned.
In a moment,
What are you working on? What's coming up, man? Any sneak peeks? Any hit pieces that we can?
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm continuing like everybody under Bobby, so I have to hit like Jay Bhattacharya and Vinay Prasad and like just anybody in the NIH, in that tent of just frauds in federal institutions. I'm definitely going to be doing moon landing denial very soon. I've been putting it off for way too long, so I'm going to hit that one pretty soon. And what else? Random. I can't remember. Yeah, there may be a couple others planned, but I've really been hammering the kind of like anti-vax, that kind of stuff pretty hard. So I'm going to keep going with that. And then I'll just kind of pepper in the occasional creationist and whatever other funny stuff, you know.
Jim Bob's here. Should I let Jim Bob? I say, why not? Right.
Dave, are you down?
I only have a few minutes, but sure. Let him in.
Yeah. Let him in. How do we give him the link? Derek, you got the link, right?
Oh shit.
Only Jim Bob join. Anyone else joins, you're getting kicked out.
Okay. You got to send it to him.
You just drop it in the chat, in the comments.
Oh, okay. Thinking, how do you do that? Okay, here we go.
I didn't see this. I wasn't hiding this. I just saw this now. So, and good thing he's still here, because they would have said, look, we were in the comments giving super chats and trying to get in there. They wouldn't let us. Nope, we found it.
That's what they do. A lot of people do that. You know what I mean?
This should be good. I get along with Jim Bob. I don't know how Dave's going to react to Jim Bob, but it's all good. Do whatever you feel, you know. Is he there, or did you send it?
I sent it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So let me get rid of this. But yeah, thanks for your time, Dave. I know you got to go soon, but let's give him like 5 minutes or something around. Something like that.
As much as you can handle. You've
Adam
already
Green
been doing this all day.
Adam Green says Dyer believes in vegan sharks and lions before the fall. He's an unserious clown. Nice. As we're waiting for Dave, as we're waiting for Jim Bob to join, I'm just going to keep reading a couple of these. Platots, thank you for the super chat. Imagine if we were illiterate peasants whose only real community was the church. A priest who was somewhat well-read could convince us of anything. Great point. Well, I mean, these are the educated elites of you're going to listen to them on a lot of things.
That's what the oligarchy is trying to get back to, right? They're trying to discourage people for like the poisoning, like just this anti-academia, you know, universities are woke indoctrination camps, and the Marxism and the communism and everything is just, the goal is to get everyone as stupid as humanly possible.
Yeah. Derek, he's saying, where's the link? I agree with that.
I've already put it on there multiple times.
Jim Bob, do you see the link? Here, let me see if I can. I'll try to send it, I guess.
I put it in the comments.
Yeah, I saw that. I'll try to pin it on my side. Oh, he's not on my side. That's why he's not on your side. Duh. All right, there you go, Jim Bob. You should see it now.
Well, no, I should be able to comment on both sides, though.
Oh, is that how it works? I didn't know. I just pinned it, so there's no excuse now. It's pinned at the top of my chat right now. So if you can't see it, I don't know what to tell you. I think if you can't see it, Jim Bob, that's on you. That's you playing games, man. I'm not saying you're doing that, but if you can't see it, that's a little weird.
When I comment on the post, my comment should reflect on your channel and mine.
I think I don't know. All I know is I just sent it on mine as well. So
yeah, I
just sent it on mine as well. So here, I'll do it again. We have like 5 links in there now.
Dave's just hanging out.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't want to. Yeah, like I'll give him another minute, but if he can't figure out how to click a link, like this is, you know.
So you posted on your side. He should be able to see that.
I posted. I have it pinned to the top of the chat right now. It's pinned.
Why are people saying they can't see my comments on your end? I thought you
should be able to see mine then. You guys can see mine, right?
Okay, hold on. Here we are.
Okay, here we go.
There he is.
Hello,
Jim Bob. What's going on, man?
How you guys doing?
Good. Like the setup, like the guitar setup, man.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, so I wanted to go back to one thing that I usually bring up, Dave, is when he brought up the nubby argument. I know it's rhetorical and kind of funny, like 1/8 of a penis or whatever. But I just wanted to ask, from the evolutionary view, do you hold that random mutation does produce mechanisms like that over time?
Yes, random mutation can produce new morphology, new functionality, obviously.
Okay, so that if it's true that a population that didn't have a penis through random mutation over time did eventually produce a fully functioning penis,
Yeah, over time and over many morphological iterations, right? It's not like no ability for sexual reproduction and then a fully formed human penis, right? That's not how it works.
Okay, but the process from no penis to penis that you have now, is that functional the whole time in between A and B, or is it partially functional? Is it non-functional and then it's functional, or?
No, it's almost certainly functional at all times. Yeah, you can have different kinds of penises. You know that there are different kinds of penises in the animal kingdom, right?
Right, but the thing is, if there's different kinds of penises, then you would hold that the penis that we have now is just a temporary penis. Like, is it on its way to being a different penis over time?
Evolution doesn't have like targets. Every organism is viable. If an organism wasn't viable, it wouldn't exist and it wouldn't pass on its genome. It wouldn't proliferate. All of our morphology is not temporary. It's not transitionary. It's not anything. We are viable organisms. And also humans are a bad example because we're not really participating in natural selection in the traditional way anymore. But you can go throughout the rest of the animal kingdom and just chart any kind of morphological change you want. And you can look at extant animals, whether you're looking at sexual reproduction or the eyeball or whatever other examples that you guys like to use, and see this wide range of complexity, from a very simple bundle of photoreceptors to a little bit more complicated eye to more advanced structures like a cornea and iris and lens and all these things. And you can do the same thing with sexual reproduction as well. There are very rudimentary phalluses out there. There are plenty of organisms that can do both sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. So all of this talk of like, oh, it had to both a penis and a vagina had to evolve at the same time doesn't mean anything. None of it means anything.
Okay, but from that view, a penis and a vagina did evolve independently through a time frame, right?
Not really independently, because they are structures that are linked to similar genes, right? We're talking about embryonic development going one way or another way, depending on when certain genes are expressed.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to understand, is that if random mutation is the mechanism that begins the path, like the critical path toward a functioning thing, like in this case, a penis and a vagina, it sounds like you're saying between A, not having a penis or a vagina, and B, two different organisms having functional penises and vaginas, there's a lot of in between that has to have fully function that's advantageous in between, right? In between the two.
For the most part, but not entirely. Like I said, there are organisms that exist today that can do both sexual and asexual reproduction. So obviously asexual reproduction evolved first, all the way back with unicellular organisms and binary fission. And then with very simple animals, there are other things, parthenogenesis, there are budding, there are different ways of asexual reproduction. So very clearly, there were populations of animals that were able to asexually reproduce while mechanisms of sexual reproduction were evolving. And
okay,
they're still around today.
Okay, so but in the early stages toward the pathway to what we have now as appendages, let's say a quarter of the way through the process, when Jay says a 1/8 of a nub, he's using rhetoric to visualize a penis or a vagina that's not what we see today, but on its way. Does that make sense?
I mean, it
doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't
make
sense.
Very clearly saying 1/8 of a PP, as though like I was saying to these guys, I don't know if he's imagining like a 3D printing that is 1/8 of the way done of what's going to be like an extant human penis. But if you want to say 1/8 of the way to the evolution from a much earlier form.
No, you can't grant that. You can't even be good faith and grant that, because he's saying that it's not useful at all without the testicles. He's basically saying it's morphing to being useful to what it is today, which isn't the case, because if it's there to begin with, it has some sort of function. And
no. Well, Neal, there to begin with is the thing in question. What's there to begin with? Obviously, hold on a second. Hold on, Neal. if I'm asking if there's a point in time, I use like liver or something like this. Like if there's a point in time where a population, it's the ancestor of the thing we see today, deep time back in time, doesn't have these things in full operation, but they have some.
You say Dave, full operation as if
I'm talking to Dave, dude. Just let me get the question out to Dave, dude.
Whatever.
Okay, he's the one who knows. He's gonna know. You're not gonna know.
You're right. Okay. It doesn't make any sense though.
So Dave, if it's a case that an early population, let's say it's asexual, starts some process unknown to itself, right? That's going to develop in the future the appendage we call a penis and a vagina. There has to be a moment where that begins, right? That's fair, right?
Okay, sure.
Okay. And if that begins, that means that the process from beginning to end, there has to be a slow, successive sort of building, right, of this appendage. This would be true of anything, like wings or anything, right?
Yeah. That's why I told you to look around the animal kingdom and look at the different kinds of penises. Like look at the penis of like a flatworm, you know, a platyhelminth. Look at what that looks like. Do you know what that looks like? Do you know anything about flatworms?
No, I'm talking about humans.
Okay, and I'm talking about ancestral species, right? You're talking about the development of organs as though it happened in humans or human-like species or primate, right? These methods of sexual reproduction go back hundreds of millions of years, way before primates, way before mammals, right? So you're trying to imagine like a primate-like species with nothing and then suddenly a phallus. And I'm telling you that all of this apparatus, all of this morphology evolved way before anything that you even think you're talking about.
I understand.
That's why I'm asking you, do you know what a flatworm penis looks like?
I understand, but just granting yourself a proto penis still goes, it's the same question though. That means that like when I ask, how do you get, I usually ask, how do you get a liver from an earlier form that doesn't have what you call a liver? And you say, the answer is always the same. It's, well, you have a proto liver. So aren't you just saying right now, Dave, that you're granting yourself a proto liver already, or proto penis exists?
You're not listening to anything I'm saying. So this is what I'm trying to explain to you, is that you can look at extant life today, extant animals that exist today, and no matter what you want to talk about, the digestive system, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the immune system, you will see a dramatic spectrum with gradations of complication, organs not existing yet, different kinds of morphology not existing yet. So there are many different things that we can look at today to show the tiers of complexity in terms of arrangement, which organs exist and don't exist. So you're looking at, if you want to look at a liver, now I'm not an encyclopedia of evolutionary biology, so I don't know off the top of my head. We could totally Google it right now and say, when did the liver evolve and what was before that, right? It was obviously some either simpler kind of organ or some simpler tissue that then continues to differentiate and specialize, right? The same thing for eyes, right? If you want to talk about the like you guys in that video that I tore into, you were talking about eyes too, and you're like, how does the eye blah blah blah? With animals alive today, you can see things that have just a bundle of photoreceptors. That's it. Just a couple of molecules in a membrane that are able to interact with photons such that it can sense light is this way and not that way. That's it. And then you can look at eyes in squid and jellyfish and stuff like that. And then you can look at the mammalian eye, all of these different tiers of complexity. So I think that the technique that you try to do is you try to look at a human penis or a human eye and go, what was there before that if there was nothing? And I'm trying to tell you to look at animals that are alive today, like a flatworm penis or, you know, whatever all these things are, to see how much variety there is in
I understand.
That's
you're saying you're saying that there's variety with what we call penises in the world, and I agree, but simply pointing to variety, the question I'm asking is more so what's the events that take place that goes from not having that thing to having it. So if you went back to the worm, okay, and you pointed to other things that have penises that are in a different phase of their penisness, then I'm gonna say, hold on. I know, but hold on. Let me get the question out.
But that's important though, because that made no sense to me either.
Hold on.
Let me say one thing. I just want to say one thing and respond to what you are actually think you're asking. It's very important that we're not talking about just variety, like, oh, this one's like that, this one. No, I'm talking about gradations of structural and morphological complexity, such that these like iterations that you're looking for, this is them. Right, a flatworm penis or something else for these very small animals. It's it's structurally very simple, and that's a clue. It's an indicator as to what can have come before. Something like that can have come before on the way to a mammalian penis.
I understand. I understand what you're saying, but the thing is, I could just highlight one of those things, and if I asked, well, you know, this gradual process toward the types of things we see today in a variety, just look at the other things we see today, like this flatworm penis has a penis too. But isn't it true that from the evolutionary view, even that flatworm penis had to evolve from something before it that didn't have that current penis developed, right?
Well, what we're doing is we're identifying this structural, this spectrum of complexity of whatever organ or system, whatever you're talking about, and we're populating it with all these instantiations of more and more complex. And all you're doing is going, oh, there's a gap here, there's a gap here. Now, I'm not a paleontologist, so I mean, I'm not a zoologist either. I don't know everything about all the animals that are alive today, and I certainly don't know everything about all the animals that are extinct. But most of those holes are filled in very readily by extinct forms that we are aware of. But I think that the thing that you're probably not grasping, because you want to know, how does this form, right? How does an organism get this appendage, right? So
to begin with,
how does embryonic development work mechanistically on the molecular level? Do you know anything about embryonic development?
You mean like the development of an embryo that already posits a population exists?
Sure.
So what you're saying is, do I understand when a male impregnates a female and then there's conception, and that's that?
I didn't say humans, right?
Okay.
I already told you there's a lot of animals that can reproduce asexually.
But an embryo assumes there's a population that has the embryo, right?
You want to know about a population that has that we get a new, but don't show a human embryo. I mean, that's fine, whatever, it doesn't matter. But you want to know about how a new feature evolves, right? You're fixating on the penis.
Well, hold on a second. This is why I wanted to stop you with the embryo. Hold on, let me just ask you. It's a clarifying question. Hold on. The embryo that you're pointing to, because it comes from a previous population, I assume the previous population that the embryo comes from already has these appendages, right?
No, I'm look, you want to know about how new things form, right? So I'm asking you if you know anything about how anything of the morphology of an organism arises at all.
What
do you know about that process?
Well, what I'm saying is, if you're going to point to an embryo, I would say that the category you're pointing to assumes that there's a population that has parts that already can produce the embryo.
There is a population of organisms.
How does the first
forms? I'm asking if you know anything about embryonic development, which is where new mutations can express themselves as new functionality, new structures, new things. Do you know anything about that process?
Well, no, I would disagree with that statement.
What do you mean you disagree with that?
Here, I'll tell you how, if you'll let me talk. So during the process of an embryo growing, it's already pre-coded to grow, if it's properly growing, the things that come from the previous thing. So for instance,
and if that code changes,
hold on a second. Just at the individual level, we're talking now. An embryo is an individual, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So during the process of an embryo growing, right, if you watch it grow, it starts to develop new appendages that's consistent with what it's instructed to do.
Yeah.
That's not that's not the same question as whether or not it
is the same question. You just don't understand that because you don't know.
You're not letting me. Yeah, but you're telling me what I don't know doesn't actually solve this problem, dude. So you're not engaging with you're not actually engaging with the question, because I'm asking you.
I think he is.
Hold on.
I'm asking you. You're saying that the appendages that develop are due to the genome, the instructions in the genome, right?
It's instructed by what it comes from.
Instructions in the genome are different. If they change, if there are mutations, What then? Could the morphology that results also change?
No. Well, sometimes it changes, but if you're referring to an animal not properly forming something, right? Are you including that as a mutation?
New functionality, new morphology.
Okay, so you're saying at the individual level, you're observing a, in this case, an individual embryo in its growth developing a brand new functional appendage.
Yeah, just not like from absolutely nothing to something that exists today. That is the product of millions and millions of years. We're talking about a new feature that is then selected for and enhanced and different, complexifies over time.
Right? Okay, so in the individual level, what's an example of an appendage or some mutation that in the process of the embryo actually growing, it actually produces a functional advantageous appendage?
Webbed feet. I don't know.
Webbed feet? Is that wait, hold is that a dysfunction or a function?
If you live in the water, it's a function.
Wait. When we have webbed feet,
it'd be dysfunction. That's why.
Wait. That's arbitrary. Hold on. No, that's totally. Wait a second. That's post hoc. So, like, if someone, hold on. If a population of humans, for whatever reason, were born with webbed feet, how would you determine that was an advantage or a disadvantage?
By if it is an advantage or a disadvantage, nature decides.
Right. If it helps them in nature.
Hold on, that doesn't. Hold on a second.
Aids the survival of an organism. It is more likely to reproduce, and that function is selected for.
Hold on a second. That didn't answer the question.
Jim Bob.
You guys are piling on.
I know, but you're not allowed. Let Dave is all I'm saying. I'm not trying to even speak on this. I want to allow Dave to be able to communicate too, because I know you're trying to get your point across. Dave's trying to get his point across. Let's just allow both of you guys, but don't.
That's fine.
Let's let it go both ways.
I didn't interrupt. It was Neal. So if it's the case that when I ask the question, I'm asking a methodological question, which is what methodology would you use to determine something like webbed feet within humans happened at the population level, whether or not that'd be an advantage or not? And your answer was we would look to see if it's an advantage.
Because nobody is determining anything. It's called natural selection. Mutations that confer a survival advantage are selected for. It's statistical dynamics. Nobody is deciding anything. If you don't understand that, you don't understand literally the first thing about evolutionary biology. This is what Darwinism explained in the late 19th century.
Okay, so the answer, Dave, then is the answer clearly, if you were to just be really concise about it, is when I ask if a population of humans today suddenly, spontaneously, were all born, a huge population was born with webbed feet, and I asked, how would we determine whether or not that's advantageous or not? You would just simply say, we wouldn't know. We just don't know.
So there's like 18 things wrong with even the situation that you're talking about. Number one, a population doesn't spontaneously develop a new thing. It's an individual.
I said if.
Okay, so if magic, that has fucking nothing to do with science, what's my response to that?
Wait, Dave, this is
a dumb question. You're too dumb to have this conversation, Dave. I'm sorry.
Dave, this makes it even worse for you, by the way.
No, it doesn't, because you are not having this conversation.
Let me talk. Neal, let me talk.
You said
I am letting you talk.
Let me reply to it, you fucking tool. You said if a population magically has webbed feet, well, that's not a thing that happens. Number two, humans are no longer participating in natural selection in the way that the rest of the animal kingdom is.
How did you know that?
Because we don't die if you're weak, right? If you're a weak person or a dumb person, society, there's a safety net in place so that we
How would you know?
Wait.
What
do you mean? How do I know the most basic things that are self-evident? What the fuck are you talking about?
Self-evident now. Okay, hold on a second.
Do we not, let's go. If there is a weak person, do we just let them die? Do we let a lion eat them and they die? Is that how society works?
Depends where you are.
Depends where you are. Where is a society? Where is a civil?
Some people in China actually let people who got hit by cars just die in the street because it's a utility issue. So, but regardless of that, Dave,
is that the majority
Neal,
of people?
Shut the fuck up.
No, but that
Neal.
matters, though. That matters. You just
no, it doesn't.
To one random thing.
Matter. Let's talk about webbed feet again. Let's go back to the individual level. If an individual,
not humans,
why not?
Other animals. Because we are not participating in natural selection, you fucking idiot. We're talking about, let's go all the way back to the evolution of tetrapods.
Hold on a second.
Right?
There are animals.
Not webbing.
Hold on. Do we care for animals?
Do you want to talk about evolution or
oh
not?
my God, dude, I'm showing a
Do we care
contradiction in
about
your view.
animals? What do you mean, do we care about animals?
Yeah. No. Do we
What does that mean?
actively, let me answer the question, ask the question. If you said humans are no longer participating in natural selection because we have all this advanced technology to take care of us, we also take care of animals.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's also not talk about cattle. Let's talk about
conservation. No. Hold on. Now you're in a weak spot. Okay, because
if you wanted to talk about the evolution of various morphological features of animals, this evolution took place hundreds of millions of years ago. If you want to talk about that, the thing that you pretended you wanted to learn about, let's talk about that. Let's not talk about human society. What do you want to talk about?
I'm trying to get it out.
Talk about where penises came from.
Okay, you're spurging now. Okay, so if it's the case that you arbitrarily, Neal, shut up, dude.
You're spurging, bro. Look at you.
I'm trying. You can't even see me.
Well, I can hear you. I can hear you,
dude. You guys are interrupting. This is crazy. So if it's the case that you determine that natural selection is no longer happening at some level with humans, but it is with other animals, right? I'm asking you, you made that claim, right?
The point is also valid for livestock. So what? Let's talk about wild animals.
Whoa.
In other words, all life prior to modern human civilization.
Wait a second.
You keep saying, wait a second, and cutting him off. But if he did that to you, you'd freak out.
Shut up.
Let him finish his point,
You
though.
shut up, dude. You're saying nothing.
Let Jim Bob answer your questions before you stop him.
Wow.
Hold on, Jim Bob. Hold on.
Okay, Neal.
Let me just say something real quick. Jim Bob.
Neal.
You keep asking a question, and then as soon as he starts to answer it, you go, "Hold on a second, wait a minute." But what about this? He never gets to finish the answer to your question.
I apologize.
You want to learn how new morphology arises, so I'm talking about mutations and embryonic development. Would you like to have that conversation, or do you want to keep shitting your pants about what modern humans are doing?
Well, the reason I'm asking the question about the selective process, if you're saying that having web feet as a mutation that happens in the embryo stage for an individual, if that thing produces web feet, the question I'm going to ask you, regardless if it's human or not, is how would you determine it's an advantage or a mutation that's a disadvantage? How would you determine that?
If it lives longer, if it helps it survive.
Wait, how would you determine that
it swims faster?
Okay, so if humans could swim faster, it doesn't apply.
Stop talking about humans.
Okay. So if one embryo, right? Isn't this more of a Lamarckian view though? Isn't that something you reject?
It's not.
Okay.
No, it is not.
So if a embryo hatches a web feet and otherwise its previous population didn't have web feet, you would determine whether or not that was selected for if it swam faster.
If it confers a survival advantage, the question will always be, if it confers a survival advantage, then it is more likely to stay alive and therefore more likely to reproduce and therefore more likely to pass on that genome to offspring. This is evolutionary biology 101 that you should have learned in middle school. And if you want me to repeat it over and over and over again, I will, but the answer is never going to change.
Okay, so let's just carry the story out. So this individual has web feet and it helps it swim, and therefore it helped it live longer because it swam faster.
Yep.
Okay. And then it has children, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what part of the process transfers that web foot mutation to its offspring based on selection?
What do you mean? What process? Do you understand how reproduction works? You understand that the offspring gets its genome from the parents, right?
Yeah. But if it was random, it doesn't verify. It doesn't actually.
The initial mutation was random.
Hold on a second. Is it guaranteed that the offspring will get the web feet?
No, not guaranteed. In sexual reproduction, you have two parents, and you get a chromosome from each.
Another middle school concept.
Each chromosome. You have, it's another middle school question.
No. I mean, it's a good question because
I have tutorials on meiosis and stuff.
Okay, but now you have this view that like if something happens at the individual level, like web feet, and in that lifetime it survived and it did better, it could just be a happy accident that time.
Yes,
but what increases the chances of it passing that same web foot down? Is there anything that increases that chances? or never?
I mean, no, not in terms of the randomness of which chromosome from which parent goes into the offspring. No, it's chance.
Okay, so it's just chance.
Which chromosome
let me,
from which parent?
Oh my gosh, Neal.
Can I attempt to just add some nuance here? If I'm understanding this right, if it has a better survival chance because it can swim faster, it probably has a better chance to mate because it can get out and find a mate. So it might have a better chance of producing.
Yeah. Also, most animals reproduce more than one time, right? There are animals that produce thousands of progeny.
Right.
Wait, why would swimming faster enhance the likelihood of finding a mate, Neal?
You really can't imagine that? You can't think of why that would be?
I'm asking you.
If it's
because it can get around better. It can get around and find more mates easier.
If it's dead, it can't mate.
If it can't move around and its legs missing, it's not going to find a mate. If it can swim fast, it's going to find a mate.
Wait. What if the thing that's not swimming has closer proximity to the females?
It got lucky. God, that's a lucky one. It got lucky. But
it sounds like just post hoc. Like you're just imagining
post hoc. If it survives for longer, it has a better chance of reproducing and will reproduce more.
Okay, so I want to get this, and I don't want to keep you too long because you were on your way out, Dave. I appreciate the time.
Yeah.
But if everything is by chance and ultimately accidental, but you're saying the selection process is not accidental. You're saying that things produce from random mutation by chance. It might be the case that it gets passed down. Lucky that thing, right?
Yes. Mutation is random. Natural selection is not.
Okay, so then would you agree that from your perspective that the brain was a process of random mutations produced by random mutations?
Brains in general and every other organ and every other aspect of all life ever. Yes.
Okay, so then, and it wasn't developed for any purpose, right?
No, not any inherent purpose, but it serves, it is useful, right? Animals with brains have processing ability. And then especially humans, we have this huge frontal lobe that is capable of all kinds of complex.
I understand. But you would say that your brain has no real purpose, right?
It has no inherent purpose. I use it for the purpose of thinking.
Okay, but it's not made for the purpose of thinking.
There is no God that on purpose made things with the purpose that
I didn't say God. No, God doesn't exist in this hypothetical.
Okay.
I just want you to understand from your view.
Then you would agree that nothing would have any kind of inherent purpose from a higher power. If it's all chance, then there's no inherent purpose to anything other than what proliferates due to conferring a survival advantage.
And so why would I listen to sounds coming from a purposeless brain?
Because I'm right.
Okay. Well, thanks for the conversation then.
Happy to do it. Hope you learned.
That was great, Jim Bob. I enjoyed you calling on. Thanks for jumping on, man.
No problem. Thanks, Derek.
Thank you. Yeah, that was interesting. Thanks for sticking around, Dave. We didn't expect that.
That was great.
Yeah.
Man.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I wanted to let you guys.
I couldn't help it a few times because it was just even I was understanding what he was saying, and it seemed like he was pretending not to know or just didn't know. I don't know.
He's trying to come across as very methodical and focused, but in fact, he's just he wants to know how something develops morphologically. But when I start talking about mutation and embryonic development, he wants to talk about something completely different. Happens every time.
Well, and I think he really wanted to focus on purpose and there being some sort of meaning behind it all. And science doesn't necessarily have. I don't think science is really saying there can't be a purpose to all this. It's just we're just trying to figure out the mechanics behind things, right?
Look, if there is some nebulous deity that triggered the initial singularity and let everything unfold according to physical characteristics for the universe that it conjured and is just watching the whole show and has a reason in mind for it all, believe that. I don't care.
Yeah,
right?
we would have no reason to tell or not. Yeah,
I don't believe it. It doesn't bother me. It's an uninteresting conversation to me. But it would in no way negate the fruits of the scientific labor in determining, the rules of the biological world and every other tier of scientific complexity. Yeah, that's it.
I actually think if Aristotle and some of the ancient Greeks were alive today, they'd be evolutionists. They already had the sort of inductive and deductive reasoning mindset going on. They would have believed the data.
But yes, Aristotle was one of the most brilliant minds in human history, and he would definitely accept science. I mean, some would say he was the first scientist. Under a certain definition, he was probably, arguably, the first scientist.
That's what Bacon says. Bacon says that in his, I forgot the name of the book, but
I mean, he was the first. I mean, he definitely held unscientific views. Like, he thought things fell to the ground because that was the nature of them, to seek the ground. I mean, it doesn't mean anything, but he was probably the first figure to ever say that things happen according to natural laws and orders, and we can discern them.
Exactly.
Right? Then it took all the way until Galileo for him to say, not only that, but this shit is mathematical. Like, we can have equations that you can put numbers in and make a calculation, and it'll tell you what's going to happen. And it does, with all my little balls and the pendulum and the ramps and everything. He was like, holy shit, the universe is math. Like, that's why Galileo is the father of modern science. Then fast forward all the way to today. I mean, it's like, I don't know. If you can't get on board with science, I just have no patience for it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Well,
yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, it'd be cool to see them all get on board and still be theistic evolutionists. You know what I mean? But when you're denying evolution, I mean, at what point do you just start realizing, hey, okay, let me go with the facts on what I see and make it match my theology?
This is why I get so irritated when I get painted, obviously, as the angry atheist. It's like, I don't care about my atheism. It's a very uninteresting part of me, and I don't engage in theism versus atheism debates because I don't care. If your conception of a God contradicts science, I'll debate you about why you're wrong about science. But if your conception of God is completely accepting, 100% accepting of all of science, I have nothing to. We can have a fun conversation, a stonery conversation, but I have no interest in trying to strip you of this unoffensive God that doesn't contradict any science that I happen to not believe in. And it's just not a very interesting conversation to me. It's science deniers that I will humiliate. You know what I mean?
I thought that was great, though. I mean, it was interesting to see back and forth. I will say this for the debunk that you did. Don't you feel he was kind of respectful to you personally compared to what he could have been? I mean, he could have been like,
compared to Jay, he's a little more restrained than Jay. Jay is just like in a race to be.
Oh, he would have rage quit really fast.
Real fast.
Jim Gobb can handle it a little more.
Yeah. So that was fun, I guess.
So again, any final thoughts from you, Dave? We don't want to keep you, man. I want to be able to say, hey, brother, we're going to do a stream. Come on. I don't want you to think, oh, we're going to be stuck for a long time. But that turned into something. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was cool. And what is this? Coping and storytelling?
I appreciate the $10 to tell us that, man. Thank you.
You mean the storytelling of creationists and their stories? I mean, you can tell stories about science, I guess, but they can be interesting. Creationism will always be. Creationism and flat Earth are the two that are the easiest for me to just jump into. You know what I mean? Like when I do the anti-vaxxer stuff, when I'm debunking, Peter McCullough and everything, like you have to like look at their fake papers and like figure out where they're lying, and there's a lot more journalism and more discipline involved in that kind of stuff. So I have to kind of jump in back to creationism and stuff just for an easy. Whenever I do a reaction video, it's usually creationism because it's just like off the top of my head, very easy to expose the stupidity of it, But that's it. That was fun.
I think I have Guts at Gibbon on next month, and we'll be dealing with either Young Earth Creationist, or we're going to be tackling the interesting. I don't know if you saw William Lane Craig made a recent video that he's been thinking this, but he like really just said what he thought, and it's hard to get him to say things this blunt. Adam and Eve are 750,000-year-old pre-Neanderthal, Denisovan, Homo sapien ancestors, and he went on record saying
the Bible's wrong, then. So the Bible's wrong, then. That's what he's basically saying.
He's trying, bro. He's trying. He's like,
what's the difference there? 750,000 is that's a very interesting. Also, first of all, because I don't think that they're. Oh no, yeah. Well, first of all, 750,000 years does not predate Homo sapiens.
Right.
Oh no, yes it does. No, yeah, it does. Sorry.
No, it does. It does Homo sapiens, but someone else brought this out in a.
Wouldn't that be Homo erectus?
Yeah, it doesn't predate other very closely related hominid species.
Yeah, that's what someone else was saying, because it feels like what he's trying to do is create an umbrella for any animal type creatures that are like us, so that, you know, he can allow them to be under the, well, God put a soul in things like us.
The last known occurrence of Homo erectus is 117,000 years ago, according to Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is just like the ID crowd is like, human evolution is very problematic for them, because we have this very smooth gradient from the common ancestor of humans and or of hominids and chimpanzees, all the way, multiple genera, obviously all the Australopithecines, but even before that, there's numerous species, and just going all the way through that are very gradually gaining, like bipedality. Like Australopithecines are intermediary in the sense of having morphology that allows them to like swing through trees, like what we would call ape-like, and then also are bipedal to try to like traverse the savannas in between the gradually receding treetop areas. So it's like they're very undeniably neither chimps nor humans. So they have to kind of explain it away, and there's like, they either have to say none of it exists, or they were all actually humans, or a kind of human, differentiated in as much as like breeds of dogs to just call them one kind. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Redefine things and make it fit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's funny, because they take the Bible as like this, no matter what has to be true, but I want to keep as much science as possible. So we can just kind of rearrange things. And the Bible says, even though Luke and Matthew give us a genealogy that goes all the way back to Adam, and we can do the math and get like between 5,000 and 7,000 years roughly for the world. Mm-hmm. Well, let's just ignore that. Let's just say that's metaphorical. And now I can operate and say, well, we have hominids that are 100,000, 70,000, 700,000 years old or whatever. Maybe that's Adam and Eve. And it's like, look, I respect that more than just denying out fossils and stuff, but it's still kind of, you're using the Bible as an axiom before anything else. That's what you're doing.
Obviously, intelligent design is less pseudoscientific than young Earth creationism, but it's still pseudoscience. It's an intellectualized pseudoscience. It's harder to debunk. It's harder to debunk Discovery Institute than Kent Hovind, but it is ultimately fallacious and I mean, let's be honest, propaganda. It's full of deliberate misrepresentation. It's not a valid position. Right, it's propaganda. It's Christian nationalists trying to make religion, trying to make a superstition seem sciency, and they do a pretty good job of it. The best I've seen, but that's why I target them so strongly, because if I can skewer this to smithereens, then anything below it is laughable.
The academic that you debated on this whole abiogenesis thing that you famously have like really worked up. I can't imagine this guy doesn't think about you when he goes to bed at night.
He thinks
what's his name?
Every goddamn day. James Tour.
James Tour.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you I emailed him to have a discussion on Jesus? Because he said, if you're a skeptic, he like sent this invite. So I was like, okay, I'm a skeptic. I have a big channel. Let's talk Jesus.
No response.
He's like, he said, no, thank you.
What the hell is the point then?
Because I wanted a dialogue. He said, I will come
He's
on
the one
and
who
just
said
say,
it.
I don't want to have a. Yeah.
He will only go on channels that are sympathetic to his bullshit. Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
And then he's like, nobody will come on my channel. It's like, dude,
that's what I'm saying. So what was the point of him making that announcement? If you're a skeptic, let's have a conversation, and then you reach out.
No, what he does is if you don't believe in the resurrection of Jesus, you can email him and he'll have a Zoom chat with you for an hour. And what I've done recently is people have started baiting him into it and sending me the recordings. So in my last video, I included a few clips from, because people want to know what goes on in these Jesus talks, these resurrection talks. And it's just a PowerPoint that he regurgitates every time. He doesn't listen to a word from the other person. Like he's doing it for his like God karma points. Like, look at what a great guy I am, converting the masses. I'm doing all this great proselytization, all this great evangelical work. Does not care. Like there's so many times where like the person is like trying to talk to James about like, well, this is what's going on in my life. And he's just like, cool, back to my thing. Like doesn't care. Total autopilot mode. And so somebody else just sent me one. I'm hoping people keep doing it to the point where he just starts being like, well, all of these are just are people sending it to Dave to make fun of me some more, so I can't do it anymore,
Oh my gosh. He declined mine. But I was going to ask you, if you had to take a young earth creationist Kent Hovind or someone like him on a scale from 1 to 10, which is worse in your view? I know that you're both are pseudo, but in the sense that which is worse to you personally?
Which is more socially damaging or which is more unscientific?
I'll allow you to give your explanation for why you would say either is worse in different ways.
I mean, obviously, like I said, young earth creationism is way more unscientific than any of what the ID proponents are saying. They admit some science in order to deny other science, whereas Kent is just like, all of it is dumb, Bible only. But it's more socially damaging when you get these kind of really sleek propaganda campaigns, because it tricks people who were somewhat centrist, right? People who like want to believe that they kind of accept science. They're like, well, no, even the scientist is saying that science is wrong. So science is right. It's not a raving preacher. I mean, James is a raving preacher, but he is also a scientist. So he can pretend that his script is coming from a place of science rather than him being a raving preacher whenever he talks about that topic. So that ends up being more damaging, which is why I focus on it quite a bit.
So it's like it's closer to reality in a sense, but you're saying because of they're drawing more people who are really interested in reality and understanding the world we live in. They're drawing more people doing that than the flat earther or the young earther. So in a way, you kind of have, I hate to use the word low IQ, but shit, I used to be a young earth creationist about 15 years ago. You know what I mean? I was a Bible thumper. And I was like, Bible is the truth, and I believe in my Bible, and it was just that was it. That was my presupposition.
Yeah, I mean, you got fed that from birth, so it's going to be hard to. Yeah. It's a difficult process to shed your default worldview, right? But what I'm saying is that obviously the overwhelming majority of people that put any stock in James Stewart Discovery Institute or anything like that are Bible thumping evangelical. Like you go into the comment section, it's like, praise Jesus, James is it? There's nobody like, oh, interesting science. Like they don't care at all. But the way it's dressed up, it gets harder to penetrate. Like you can explain to almost anybody how Kent Hovind is an idiot or Jim Bob or any of these ridiculous people who are it's just complete dismissal of all science. Whereas like Stephen Meyer or somebody, he will be like, there was the Cambrian explosion and it happened in this time frame, and there like he will admit minutia in order to lie about certain key things in order to promote intelligent design. You know what I mean? It's more nebulous. It's harder to parse. You know what I mean? You have to be able to read the literature and show what he's referencing this paper. He's lying about this paper right here. It doesn't say that. Like, it's not like, oh, you literally don't know what DNA is. Like they know what DNA is and they explain it, kind of truthfully in terms of like what mutations are. I mean, they also lie about that. They lie about, they deny macromutations and stuff like that. But
right. Dave, you're the man. Look, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Clip the shit out of that. I'm sure that's going on the channel. So
it could, yeah. Send that to me. I didn't anticipate getting into all that. Yeah, I would have replaced the batteries and gotten better audio. But
I'll send you the file.
Sounds good.
That sucks that Jim Bob's camera wasn't working either.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was he.
That was a great showdown, I think.
So we could be Googling stuff, and
I thought that crossed my mind, but I think that would have been too perfect if he can figure out a way to pause himself.
Even then, though, I mean, let's be honest, he's never claimed. At a moment there, it sounded like he was acting like he's an expert. You know what I mean? He did say like, no, and I'm like, hold on, I don't pretend like. And I've actually interviewed PhDs in this arena and stuff and had conversations.
I mean, look, to be clear, nor am I. Like I'm not an expert evolutionary biologist. I just understand like through halfway of an undergraduate education in evolutionary biology, or close to a full.
No, nothing in that conversation was like master's level, PhD level. This was all very basic 101 kind of stuff.
Fairly basic. I mean, I have an enhanced ability to understand molecular biology because I studied chemistry. So when I read about that, like it breaks down to concepts that I understand. But I'm not an expert in. I'm not like a true terminal degree holding expert in any of these fields. I just understand the basics and then some. Depending, chemistry I know more than the basics, obviously, but evolutionary biology I'm not. I'm far from an expert. I just know the basic stuff.
Gotcha. Anything, Neal? We can let Dave go, right?
I'm gonna peace out. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dave. Have a good one, bro. All right. Look, Neal, we got to zoom in. I was gonna say final assessment here, man, because I don't
got
have
a couple
too much
super
more
chats
time
to go through.
Yeah. I
So-
got dinner cooking. I could smell it.
Yeah, Lev Polyakov, thank you for the 20. Says Kurt Metzger mentioned on my show a theory linking Sibylle to Metis and tying that into Mithras having a mother dynamic, even Norman Bates style idea of wearing the mother's identity. Any source for this? I don't think there's a source for this. That Sibylle in late Roman antiquity, not the Phrygian Sibylle, is connected to Mithras because you find her in the Mithraeums. Like she has her own like rooms, and there's like certain Mithraeums that I can think of right now. The one that was built by Caesar Antoninus in the 150s or 140s, built a Mithraeum in Ostia, which is the port city where Rome is. And there's a room that was dedicated that where the Sibylle and another god was on the wall. So there was linkage, and the reason why I'm saying that instead of the goddess Anahita, who it would have been in the Persian Mithras, it would have been they switched it over to Sibylle. So there's a link there between Sibylle and Anahita, which Anahita is the Persian version of Athena. She's the virgin warrior goddess. She even looks like Athena. She's has a shield and a helmet and all that stuff. So yes, I can see. I don't know where he got that from, but there's something behind it, and it sounds like a pretty intelligent connection. However, Metis is the wife of Zeus, if I'm recalling correctly, who she helps him like defeat Saturn or Kronos in Greek, and then there's a prophecy about a greater son being born that would like overthrow Zeus. So he's like, I can't have that. So he swallows Metis. She turns into a fly. He swallows her, and then he gets this huge headache that he can't get rid of. So Prometheus comes in with an axe, and in some versions it's Hephaestus, and he's like, I'll get rid of your headache for you, Zeus. Crack! Slices him in the head, and Athena comes out of his head and is born. Yeah. That's how Athena's born. So
isn't that interesting? Mithras is born from a rock. You get these
born from a rock. Mithras born from There's something.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's an interesting connection, but it's more of a syncretic connection that we do rather than finding that in the sources. So
thank you, Lev. You're the man. Bobby,
thank you for the 5. The other moron, Jim Bob, would like to come on and talk. Oh yeah, we already saw this one. Thank you for that. Yeah. I'm glad you put that on there because I wouldn't have noticed. I wasn't paying attention. I was just kind of talking. Aceric Media, thank you for the $10. Not defending Dyer, but in my opinion, a lot of anti-science academic sentiment recently stemmed from the COVID debacle. Questioning narratives is the essence of science, but it has to be fact-based. Absolutely. Yeah. I think people were pissed about the vaccine. People were like, I don't want to get a vaccine. Like this thing was not, it was quick. And even people who like, I trust vaccines. I get vaccinated. Vaccines that have been out for 20 years that have been peer-reviewed, studied, and we know about and have a bunch of data. But I'm being completely honest. I was nervous when they were doing this Operation Warp Speed thing and they were talking about all these new mRNA style vaccines. I was nervous about that shit. I didn't really want to get it. Just being honest. So I don't blame people for getting that way. I understand what he's saying right here.
I think a bit of it is too, a lot of it stems out of America, like the USA. I mean, we don't even like our private properties being like infringed and stuff. So there's a sense in which people got really claustrophobic, if I could say the term, during COVID as well. I mean, it wasn't just the vaccines. And then when there's like, stay away, don't go to public, like they were like policing that stuff.
It was getting crazy. People were getting depressed and upset about it. Look, I get it. I totally understand that. There's a nuanced debate to be had about that for sure. Thank you for the
there's a debate that Dave did recently on this with someone who was, I think, a vaccine denier or something like that. I didn't watch it yet, but I hear he went in hard with someone who's an actual virologist. I don't know what they are. They know the vaccines and all that. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you for the super chat. Handsome Cat 89. Thank you for the 2. Dave, debate the orthobro cult leader Jay Dyer, as he said he already will. So that's on record that he said he would. But thank you for the super chat. Dane Crusader for the 100. Jim Bob is live now. You better debate him because you're one big straw man and Cope machine, all you. Cope Mavine? Whatever.
All of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, he came on.
He did.
And yeah, so I don't know what. Thanks.
Yeah,
Dave,
this is probably all before that, so we'll just give him the benefit of the doubt.
Appreciate.
So thank you for this. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the $20, James. I appreciate that. Strange collab, science and religion. Dave, you and I should collab. Check out my channel for my Terrence Howard content. I teach math and I peer review his awful book. Thank you. I didn't see this. I know he had to get out of there before these, but I'll
send him the video.
Derek will send him the video, so he'll see it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Birds aren't even real with the $5. Deuces. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Handsome cat with the $2. Jim Bob wants to know if this little guy will grow.
No, they did not.
This one we already saw, but I appreciate the $10, so I'll give you another place in the sun for that one. Thank you, Chase Crops, for the $5. What was occurring during the non-asexual amongst proto-male, proto-female, proto-reproductive system?
Good question.
It's a good question. But
I'd like to hear an actual evolutionist on this. You know what I mean?
Yes, but I think the way he answered that was like, we can look at life today and see how other life reproduce with certain ways they reproduce, whether it's like, all types of different splittings and eggs and all that kind of thing. There's just different ways that it happens. So
yeah, and then, look,
again,
I
would never jump on here and start answering questions on anthropology and biology. It's not my thing. So
if I may just make a quick comment about this too, I think anyone sincere who does not understand the mechanics of evolution on that level, I don't. I've seen enough to be convinced that it's happening and that I do believe we have evolved. And at the end of the day, to get down into these weeds, I am curious. I'd like to see an evolutionist who might have watched this exchange, saw this and said, hey, look, I study this at a university. I know, and here's what seems to be happening. And here's how the functionality of that organ developed and why. And it seems under these pressures in this environment, these conditions caused the organ to develop. And but simultaneously, this was happening. Like, I'd like to hear all those details that I think Jim Bob was trying to ask, but it's hard to know that there's good faith dialogue happening when there's interrupting every time you're trying to ask the question to gotchas. You know what I mean? So I think it went well though, bro. My final comment, I really do think overall between their exchange, I think that was it went well. The exchange went well, considering what it could have been. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. It went well. I thought it was fine. It was like Jim Bob did interrupt a lot, but it was fine. He was just getting a little excited about it. It's fine.
I was watching comments. There was a ton of fans of theirs that were saying you kept interrupting, but it was like I didn't. I
barely jumped in. Only like 3 times I did.
And one time I jumped in. I think Jim Bob thought I was trying to interrupt. I'm like, no. I'm trying to say let Dave.
Well, and the reason why I did jump in those few times that I did is because Jim Bob was making points as if, like, oh, what you're saying makes no sense. He would say something like that, and I would say, well, wait a minute, I'm right here. That made sense to me. Why? What do you mean it made no sense? How could you determine that it didn't make any sense? I thought it made. That's the only time I jumped in was when I thought it was necessary to just give a third opinion on something. Which
you also have
a few times
knowledge.
Yeah, a few times it was a fair point where Jim Bob was like, Neal, shut up. It's me and him. And I said, okay, fine. So I'll admit that.
Yeah.
Chase Crap thank you for that super chat. Oceanus Helios for the 5. Plants have sexual differentiation too, Jim. Evolution doesn't say it happened overnight, but your atom was a dingling in a day. Was a dingling. Cry harder. I got it. Nice. Thank you for that. I mean, no, but seriously, this is a good point. Let me say something about this. We have all this data. We have all this archaeological data, anthropological data, all this physical evidence that we can see and touch. And then on the other side, and then they're like, but so you think things just happen magically and things just happen naturally? What is it, magic? And it's like, are you not reading the book that you think is true and calling other things, natural things, magic? Yeah. Seriously. And look, I'm not an atheist, but like, I just believe we live in a rational world that has rational ways of. I'm not a big believer in miracles. Like I'm not closed off to them, but I think things happen naturally. That's just the way I am. I agree with the Greeks. The Greeks thought this way. They thought Aristotle. You read Aristotle's on animals. There's a book called On Animals, and I'm not kidding. There's a few times when I'm reading that book where he almost sounds like he's talking about evolution, where he talks about different types of animals and how certain animals are similar to other animals. And you can almost, he was getting close. I feel like Aristotle, if he was alive for 50 more years, he might have cracked it or something. I'm just saying, maybe not.
No, I no way to know, but I do think you're right. They get really close, but they just can't see it. You know what I mean? And then
or the Epicureans with the atomic theory, atoms and void, and they were right. They had a very basic understanding. It was all theoretical. It wasn't based in anything that can like test, but they theoretically were correct in a way. And credit to them. So, anyways,
thank you.
The dragon origin. Thank you for $5. Myth Vision chat coping hard. Dragon Age origins. Myth Vision chat coping hard when opposing opinions pop in with Jim Bob. Cry harder, everyone. This is healthy for you. Fair. Fair point.
I didn't see anyone. I don't know what they mean by coping.
No, I'm just saying people get mad with opposing opinions. You're right. People should have opposing opinions. It's healthy to have these debates online sometimes.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody coping. I don't know what. Maybe they're just in the opposition, so they're calling it coping when they're like engaging and calling. Yes, but there are name calling. There's name calling. People in your chat calling you names, calling me names.
I know. It's just how the internet is. I'm fine with it. Craig, thank you for the $5. The population to the individual. That's a neat proto-nub you got there. Hopefully a random process produces protogina.
Oh my God.
That was good. That was a good one. I like that. That was good. That was well thought out. I like that. That was good. Chase Cross, thank you for the $5. Evolution and survival are immaterial and is asserted purpose in intentionality. The tenets to naturalism denies these qualities objectively exist.
Evolution and survival are immaterial and is an inserted purpose and intentionality. So the random mutation, right, under natural
almost like saying evolution has a telos, has a purpose.
Again, I think
maybe I'm not closed off to this idea. I'm not an expert, but this is something I'd be open to. The tenets of naturalism denies these qualities objectively exist. I don't necessarily think that that's true. I don't think naturalism. We can have a naturalistic world. And there can still be meaning. There can still be a divine purpose, as even Dave said. He doesn't believe that, but he says that might be true. So I don't think it's one or the other, Chase. That's what I'm saying. But anyways, before you go, I just wanted to show you something on Twitter that happened while we're on the topic of Jay Dyer, if you just don't mind it. So when I was up, so this happened. Hold on, where is it? I got to find here we go. So this happened about a week ago. Dude, you got to watch this. You got to watch this. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So I'm just going to play the first couple minutes of this.
Culture is just, like pregnant ladies sitting on lounge chairs being fanned by palm leaves and fed grapes. And no, it is temple prostitution. It is, if you want to get into that part.
This is pagan culture.
One of the practices of the and this was ubiquitous everywhere in the ancient world, all the way up until Christendom, is the practice of leaving your infant out to
child exposure.
Right.
Right.
So, we have this big problem today with abortion, but in the ancient world, it was it was the patriarchal family actually who would decide if we had too many girls, if they didn't like the way the baby looked, if it was deformed, they would say no, and they would just leave it outside the city. And
which still exists in some places today.
That part is true. There is people who still do this stuff.
Super normalized until after the incarnation.
All right, that's where I had a problem with, until after the incarnation. Now, I want to clarify. So I responded. I said this. Show me some effing evidence that people were just throwing babies out as common, this is what she said, common practice leading all the way up till the Christendom. This is made up nonsense. These people just make up their own boogeyman of history and then claim Christians saved us from them. This is how she opened up her statement. She's like, oh, this was a barbaric orgy. Like, she's basically saying these are barbaric pagans, and then Christianity came and saved us from that. When in reality, these barbaric practices were condemned by pagans going back thousands of years before, I would say at least to the classical period, maybe 1,000 years. I was being a little bit too, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I was being a little, hyperbolic with 1,000 years.
In some cultures,
but in some cultures, especially like in Mediterranean and whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is, long time before Christianity came about, people were already condemning these practices. And so I actually she posted, she comes back and drops this.
Okay.
Drops archaeohistories, which by the way is just some random dude from India. Click on his thing. India. Some random, not a PhD, nothing, not an expert, doesn't cite any sources, just randomly talks about child exposure.
By the way, that's AI right there. Look at how many. Bro,
this
that's
is totally
so
AI. Yeah. So I even said, cite an actual source for once rather than posting AI slop. That's what I wrote.
Okay.
And then I said to her, what the F is this supposed to be? You just reposted someone's post? Like, this is how research is done? So basically what she did was I refuted her nonsense and I added some nuance. By the way, let me clarify something. I could have been clear about this, and I'm trying to be fair here. I could have been way more clear. I'm not saying child exposure did not exist at all.
Of
that
course.
Greeks didn't do it. I'm saying that the idea that it was like this common practice that people were just throwing their babies out left and right is not historical. It's not true. It was for really major deformities.
Yes,
mental retardation.
Not to excuse
no,
it.
Not excusing. I'm just saying.
Imagine in the ancient world without the medical treatments and the ways of facilitating
these people could
someone.
not take care of these children back then. The world was not designed as it is today. There wasn't medical services. There wasn't rehab places.
Point for Dave. Dave said there's a safety net today. We have a safety net for this very issue.
But those things do develop. You have the Asclepian temples. You have the temples of Artemis who start taking in exposure babies. I have sources about this, where the temple of Artemis operated as a orphanage for children.
Is true.
Artemis
is the gospel. We need to believe in Artemis.
Yeah, but the point is, she was an orphanage deity that people would and these children would be raised up to serve the state, and they were often slaves, yes, but they would be raised to serve the state, but they weren't killed. And the Stoics, going back to 300 BC, 300 years before Jesus, were already the ones who were starting the idea that this is an evil practice. You can read Stoic sources that talk about this. In fact, I even brought a bunch of them to this discussion. I said these practices were not stopped by Christians. In some instances, Christians continue to get rid of babies that had deformities all the way until modern times, which is true. And by the way, wait till you remember that. Remember that the Christians did not get rid of this. Remember that point, because it's going to come back to haunt them. The first law codes that prevent this practice was Roman Augustan law. Augustan law only permitted the most extreme deformities to be necessary for child exposure. And even in those cases, orphans were commonly taken and then raised for workers of the state. We even have legislative efforts to protect newborns with Trajan's elementaria laws. He had like welfare programs and laws against child. This is in the 100 BC AD region.
Right.
Where did I just go?
You up, I believe you need to go.
Oh yeah, back. I just lost my spot for some reason. Okay, so then I cite a paper here that talks about this. I just cited my source, and I'll just keep continuing. So by the time we get to Constantine and Valentinus's decree against infanticide, which is true, Christians did legislate laws against infanticide. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it was already a long dead practice, already hated by the people at this time. Pagan philosophers before Christianity condemned the practice. Here are some sources. Rufus, the Stoican pagan from the early 1st century, says, but what seems to be the most monstrous of all, some who do not even have poverty as an excuse, and in spite of prosperity and even riches, are so inhuman as not to rear later born offspring in order that those earlier born may inherit greater wealth. by such a deed of wickedness, planning prosperity for their children. So this is influential, elite thinkers that are condemning the practice.
Yeah.
Does a man hate his own?
Notice he's talking about poverty. So like there are people who can't afford to take care of that child. They don't have, medications that prevent them from getting pregnant. They're impregnated for whatever reason. It could have been through willingness, or they were coerced into a sexual situation. That happened a lot in the ancient world. Here they are. They can't take care of the child. Even he's whining at the people saying, you rich people are doing this and you can afford to raise another child. You could do this and you're still doing it. It's like, it reminds me of the modern debate even today. Like, do you do 9-month termination or not? And if why not adopt it? There's all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. You got Seneca the Younger, 1st century. Does a man hate his own limbs when he cuts them off? That is not an act of anger, but lamentable method of healing. We knock mad dogs on the head. We slaughter fierce and savage bulls. We doom scabby sheep to the knife, lest they should infect our flocks. We destroy monstrous births, and we also drown our children if they are born weakly or naturally formed. Separate what is useless from what's sound is not an act, not of anger, but of reason. Dionysius of Halicarnassus, 1st century BCE. Romulus obliged the inhabitants of Rome to bring up all their male children and the firstborn of the females, all of them. This is Romulus's law from the Roman kingdom for the Republic, and forbade them to destroy any children under 3 years of age unless they were maimed or of monstrous from their very birth. By the way, this right here, Dionysius of Halicarnassus, he's citing the law of Romulus. Augustus also cites Romulus for his law codes that exactly say this.
Right.
That child.
So this is probably centuries old. This law might be even centuries for all we know.
Yes. And the Romans really believe that you should raise your children unless they are like monstrous. Like they have 2 heads or something. That then you get rid of it. I'm like, again, that's just the way things were. Cicero also has some things that he said about it. I remember a case which occurred when I was in Asia, how a certain woman in Miletus who had accepted a bride from an alternative heirs, procured her own abortion by drugs, was condemned to death, and rightly. See? He says she was rightly condemned to death for doing an abortion. That's of Cicero. It is, you got this Julius Paulus from the Severan dynasty. He's a pagan. He's not even a Stoic. He's not even a Stoic. It is not just the person who smothers a child who is held to kill it, but also the person who abandons it, denies it food, or puts it on show in public places to excite pity when he himself does not have. So I'm just pointing out that the mindset of the Roman pagan, they're already going in this direction. All right.
And Christians come out of this, and that's the point. Yeah.
Yes. And where'd it go? Did she delete it? I think she might have deleted it.
Someone said, Neal, that Seneca quote is pro-infant death.
No, it's not. It's not pro-infant death. It's not pro-infant death. It's against infant death. It's talking about, you got to go back and read it. So he goes on and on and on about why Seneca's a Stoic. He's the leader. He's the one who came up with these ideas of why they're wrong. Look it up. You're wrong. You totally understood that wrong. So then she comes back, and I'm trying to find out where. Here it is. She drops a paper where child exposure in the Roman Empire. Now, this is funny to me because look at this. I don't think she read this paper, dude. Jay Dyer's wife did not read this paper.
So that's Jay Dyer's wife.
Jay Dyer's wife responded with the paper. And I said, did you even, by the way, I said once again, because there seems to be a deleted, unless I'm not finding it, there seems to be a deleted other, is this the one right here? Oh, okay, here it is. First, she comes back with this one. And it's the same paper. It's this paper right here. And I go, you didn't even read it. It's saying exactly what I just said. Look at this. Widely accepted as unavoidable, some, especially the Stoics, disagreed, as did contemporary Judaism, insisting that all infants, or at least all viable legitimate infants, should be kept alive. Exposure served to limit the size of families, but also the transfer. Disapproval of exposure seems to have slowly gained ground as I was saying. And this is right here. Also, the transfer of potential labor from freedom to slavery. So there was a slave trade happening with this. It was actually economically better for people to save the child and put him into slavery, which happened a lot. By the way, Constantine, you know what he does to fix all this? He legalizes the sale of infants.
Right. Look.
He literally says you can
look at this comment.
Look at right here.
Look at the comment I just posted right here on the.
Is in a dire situation. But listen, look at this. Then, after the sale of infants was authorized by Constantine, the need for child exposure. So they figured out, look, people are going to get rid of their children. There's nothing we can do. They don't want this to happen. This is not a practice or a tradition that they like. Humans do human shit.
Of course.
Today, somewhere in my city, someone got murdered. Somewhere in your city, someone got murdered. Does that mean we all love murder and it's part of our tradition? No. These are bad things. However, his way around it was, instead of letting them just do this, why don't we just legalize the sale of it so they can sell their children to the state? We pay them money, and then we can get more slaves that way, which is what happened. It says, it subjugated the legal prohibition, but of course it did not cease. This continued forever, even until modern times. So the nuance was right there this whole entire time. And I just thought it was funny that you're dropping articles that say what I say.
Right.
And then she comes back a week later, dude. It wasn't even over yet. A week later, she comes back, February 4th. Look, this is January 31st. A week later, she comes back. Child exposure in the Roman Empire with a new article. And guess what it says? The same thing.
You highlighted it.
I highlighted it for you.
Dude.
Look, number one, child exposure was only reserved for rare cases, deformities in babies that would not have a good life because of health, mental illness. Yes, Christians later rejected even this level of child. So let me clarify something. Were the pagans more likely to do child exposure than Christians? Yes, that is totally true. The pagans were not. The Christians had a more we need to save every soul attitude. The pagans did not think that way. That is very true. But my point isn't that it didn't happen. My point is that this wasn't some practice tradition that people were just doing left and right. This is a rare thing. People don't want to kill their children. It's just not. This is just like, think about common sense here. This doesn't even make sense. Anyways, child exposure more often than not will result in orphanage rather than death. It is not popular, and disapproval gained traction for centuries. There's literally in the paper you posted, it says, especially by Stoics, educated Greeks. Mm-hmm. This was not a regular custom that people just did because they didn't want girls. By the way, there is a primary source. I'll acknowledge this. There is a primary source from, I think, 1st century BC, that there's a letter from somebody writing to someone else that we've uncovered from, I think it's from Egypt. It's in a letter from an Egyptian writing in Greek, and he tells the person he's writing to, if you have a baby and it's a girl, I don't want it. So there is some, but look at, this is human nature. We're just pointing to human nature. That does not mean because we found a letter that someone wrote that everyone was doing this. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
The paper also says that there's heavy debates about the nature and frequency of the practice. Some scholars, some who I know, doubt that it was even common as people think. You can see I highlight all this stuff. By no means was always resulting in death. Whilst there is some disapproval, especially the Stoics, infants and all infants or some legitimate infants should be kept alive. Exposure. This is the same paper, by the way. She dropped the same paper twice.
A week later.
This is literally the same paper. Exposure served the limits. Wait, is this the same exact paper? W.V. Harries. Let's go back.
Is it Harries or Harris? I couldn't tell.
W.V. Harris. Let's see. Where did it go? Oh, right here.
That's a Cambridge.
Yeah, I'm just going to see if it's the same exact.
I can't see it. So whatever you click on.
It is, dude. This girl's an idiot. Oh, my God. You're going to laugh. She literally came back a week later. Oh, I didn't even notice this at first. Check this out. She comes back a week later and drops this article, and guess who the WV Harris? It's the same fucking article.
What do you do, man?
How do you not read your own articles, though? This is 100% without a doubt, Derek. She did not even read the articles before she dropped them into the reply.
Well, first of all, Neal,
because if she did, Derek, if she did read it, hold on. First, if she did read it, Derek, do you honestly think that she would have dropped it twice?
I don't think, first of all, she would have dropped it twice if she actually read it. But
there's no way she read it. There's no way she read it.
Yeah,
I think article twice.
I think you're right on the money, and you can see why that custom to change those things under a constant evolving ethical philosophy in all of these different movements, Neoplatonism, Stoicism, Christian ascetic movements, and even non-ascetic movements would have adopted these ideas. It was just something morally. But what's interesting is to watch that, even the split in Christianity among those who say, let's procreate, and those who say, don't. Even in the Bible, women can't be saved unless they're birthing children in 2 Timothy, I believe it is. And then in some, they're saying don't, like Marcionite, ascetic type thought is like, don't procreate, avoid sex at all costs, try not to do these things. The other thing I was going to say that you made me think about was the idea of slavery. There's a book Jennifer Glancy wrote about slavery and Christianity and how it's a problem. Bro, there were people in the Qumran community, in the Dead Sea Scroll groups, who said that owning another human being was a atrocity against humanity. Like it was a sin against humanity, right? Go read Jesus's parables, where he favors slavery and talks about when the slave comes in from the field, does he serve himself a meal and then serve you a meal? No. He finished serving the master, then he can eat his plate. Well, same with the Lord who's going to come back and his servants, which are the followers of him. Like, bro, he uses slavery in his teachings and never condemns it. And it's kind of like, they like to look at well, they really didn't want any infants to be exposed at all. Like you just said, Neal, Christians really did start to get hyper radical about this and say, hey, no exposure at all. Okay, cool. You still find things, though, that the biblical text is backwards on when the Qumran Jewish community is condemning it. So there's all sorts of interesting things you can get into.
That's a good point. And you can see how politics trumps theology. Like when a political situation comes about where slavery is needed, they're going to say, screw Qumran from 500 years ago. We need the slaves right now. We need to build. We need to build stuff. We need the army. We need the military. We need slaves. We're going to do it. And they'll think of politics. It's always politics first, and then theology second. So that just tells
dude.
No.
This was a fun stream. If everybody who's tuning in now missed it, Professor Dave was on earlier and he engaged with Jim Bob. We didn't expect that to take place. We had no plans on that. We didn't even know that Professor Dave was going to show up. Very thankful for his time, of course, making here. And I'm thankful that Jim Bob did show up. It was a fun, perfect little clip, for people to check out.
Yeah, I wish there was better. I wish there could have been a better camera situation with Jim Bob, and then the audio situation with Professor Dave. And that would have been a nice look. Not to be rude to Jim Bob, but that was bad. He was just like coming with the dumbest like kindergarten questions. But what happens when the penis doesn't grow all the way yet? What happens when it's full? What happens when it's 30%? What happens then? It was like how a kid asks questions that are like, and you have to keep answering, and then they answer, and then they just keep. That's what that felt like.
Well, the problem was too. Again, you know why you were interrupting, and I noticed this as someone who wasn't trying to talk at all. I only popped in one time to try and tell Jim Bob, come on, Jim Bob, let this thing happen. Let Dave
he kept cutting him off. He kept cutting Dave off.
And he thought I was trying to chime in and say something. I had nothing to contribute other than, hey guys, referee here. But the reason I felt you wanted to insert your thought is that you're trying to explain, like, Jim Bob, there's background knowledge clearly that you've studied about evolution that Professor Dave was saying that clearly isn't equating in Jim Bob's mind, it seemed. So I'm going to probably run this through AI and try to get the audio enhanced so that Dave's audio is better. I do wish the video camera was good, and I'll send it to him. This will probably end up on Professor.
I wonder
Dave's
if you can get AI to make Jim Bob's video start to work.
No,
I think that's coming though. I bet you there'll be a day in the near future where you can plug this in and say, make this face say the words that's coming out. I bet you that's not even that far away.
It probably already is, but it's not like accessible to just anybody right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure they could do that. But as far as seeing his visuals and what was going on with the still image, who knows? Jim Bob does a lot of this, though. So he's probably familiar with how to pause his video to a still image and then not having him being seen. But I don't know. I mean, that's a guess on my part, you know?
Yep. So. I think there's one more super chat left. Let me see. We already read this one, right? Yes.
Yes.
This is the last. Beyond Origins. Thank you, Solari Knight, for the last minute 5. Why the creation versus evolution debate no longer matters. And what truly does. Read article on Medium by Soul Knight. Thank you very much. We'll check that out.
Did Solera write that? Is that like
so. Sounds like it.
Oh, interesting.
Definitely worth this little promotion right there. So everyone watching, go check that out. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, man.
Dude, thanks for coming on and hanging out. We got to do more of these.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
You've just attained true gnosis.
And never forget, we are Myth Vision.
Son, do you want to know what the truth is? After this, there's no turning back. You take the blue pill and you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill and you stay in Wonderland. And I show you just how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.